guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspur, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan. And we bring you the weekly fan show. Of course, every Monday we do this fan show, joined by co-host Jack. Jack, how are you keeping, my man?
Keeping very well, Dave. We just covered the news earlier. Now we're about to talk to the fans, see what they have to say about what we just spoke about. Plenty of things to talk about. We also have plenty of people that I think are already lined up, everybody. So do hit that link. Everybody, the link is available for everybody that has the fan show membership and higher, whether you have the elite membership or the fan show membership. The link is there in your community section. Everybody, if you do want to hop on the fan show tonight, Dave and I, we're going to have plenty to talk about, plenty to get through with you guys. So do grab that fan show membership if you do want to have a talk with us about the news and about the summer. But yeah, Dave, might as well greet the Harris Army and, see what they have to say.
Yeah, let's greet them, see what they have to say, and then let's get the guests on. We've got a lot of good guests already lined up in the background. Big up Dermot. He says he cannot wait for the fan show. He absolutely loves it. Big up, my man. Big yourself up. We'll give Paul and Scotty another shout out for becoming new channel members on the evening headlines. Big Legends. Yourself up. If you haven't seen that already, get over, check it out. It's where me and Jack have gone into depth on all the news today. Dermot also says the sun is out. Everyone in Spursland is happy, but we are even more happy that David, Harry Kane, Irish Hotspur Harris, and Jack's son, Statsman Kaniki, are here. So let's go. Woo! Big up, my man. I really appreciate the support. Neil Shafton says, I think it's woo. Maybe a Gaelic or English translation thing. Big up, Neil. We've got Ribsy as well, tuning in all the way from down under. Big up, Ribsy, my man. Good to see you in the building. Of course, it's got that lovely membership badge beside his name.
Legend.
Just like Neil. Big up, Mark. I hope you're keeping well, my man. Good to see you in the building. We've got Carl Higgins. Good evening, all. Again, another one with the badge beside his name. Big up, my man. KPV is in the house. Big up, KPV, from the badge as well. We've got Tot Josh says, come on, you Spurs. Big up, Tot Josh. I hope you're keeping well. Mick Hermalock says, good evening, Jack and Dave. Big up, Mick, my man. And good to see you in the building. And I hope you're keeping well. Paddy Higgins says, evening all. Big up, Paddy. Hope you're keeping well, lad. I hope you're keeping well. Big yourself up, my man. Good to see you in the house. Of course, the badge beside his name, just like Welsh Gal as well. Oh, yes,
big
lad.
Up, Welsh Gal.
Big up, Welsh Gal. Great to see you in the building. Ayanami says, Kois, the future is bright. The days of her are over. Let's fight, and fight for a trophy and end this drought while solidifying our status as a big club. Absolutely could not agree more. Ayanami, big yourself up, brother. We've got Georgie Hill says, evening, lads. Hope you're keeping well. Looking forward to another banger. Well, look, I hope it's another banger. I mean, the evening headlines seem to be taking off. People seem to like them, so hopefully this is another one, my man. Big up, Georgie. Good to see you in the building. RAI says, welcome back, David and Jack. Yeah, look, we're only gone for 20 minutes, my man. We're back here now to give the fans their say on all the news today. 164 Spurs, welcome back. Big up, my man. Great to see you in the building. Cynical Dad, good to see you. I hope you're keeping well, Cynical Dad. Good to see you. Derek Smith as well says, come on, you Spurs. Big up. Johnny Stokes, evening, Dave, Jack, and up the Spurs. Putting some great talking points on the evening headlines. Big up, Johnny. He has a lot to say on Christian Eriksen. He doesn't want to back. What was it, Jack, the point he made about the
he said basically, Dave, he doesn't want Eriksen because he wants those people that want something to prove, basically. He wants people that come into the team that want to win trophies, want to have that winning mentality coming into the side. And he thinks Eriksen isn't exactly that sort of mold. But he's making a decent point, where like you could get players to come in that could be hungrier. You could get players to come in that could be hungrier.
Very good point. It is a very good point. And I do agree with it to a certain extent. I do agree with it. Big up, Johnny Boy. We have one Daniel Maranan says, sup, boys? Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Danny Boy. Good to see you in the building. We've also got Ron Viniak says, any new signings? Big up, lads. Come on, you Spurs. None today. Look, what I will say is this week is probably going to be more of a week where the legwork to the deals are done with players that were on international duty all on holiday this week. So I'd say it's more the legwork to deals that will be done with actually contracts and that probably signed maybe starting as early as next week, Ron. That would be the hope. Tequila 316 says, big up everyone. Any new signings? No, same answer I just gave Ron, my man. Big yourself up. Felipe Sergio Swell says, I don't really want Eriksen back. Well, expand on that in the comment, my man. Let me know why. Dan THFC says, come on, you Spurs. Big up, Dan THFC. Good to see you. Scuttle Spurs says, thoughts I missed the show, lads. Come on, you Spurs. No, my man, we're only starting. We're only getting going, my man. Big yourself up. Just to maybe run through some talking points today, if anybody wants to come on and expand on them. Tottenham have not followed up their interest in Christian Eriksen. We're with 8 other clubs set to be interested. Inter Milan CEO Morata coming out saying that they will have to sell a defender rather than a striker in order to conduct their business this season. Leaks with Rafinha, Richarlison coming out saying Højbjerg isn't going anywhere. Arsenal set to sell Haller, or Ajax set to sell Sebastian Haller, where basically it means they're once that deal goes through, they can make an improved offer for Steven Bergwijn and meet Tottenham's valuation of the player, plus much, much more. I mean, you can come on and talk about where does Basuma fit into our midfield. You know, Perisic, would you rather play him over on the right instead of the left and keep Regan on the set shot if you can't get in the right wing back? So much talking points to get through. So, look, I think we will get to it. But, guys, if you could all smash the like on the stream, that would be absolutely awesome. As well, the subscribe button if you are new. And, guys, why not get in a super chat or two with your thoughts? You can skip that queue. We'll get straight to it. Myself, Jack, any panel member that's on, we will also give it a good talking point. And don't be afraid to disagree with us either, guys. We'll all have a good conversation respectfully. I think we can all disagree without falling out. That would be absolutely awesome. But look, we will kick it off. Elias is in a rush because it's late where he lives. So let's get him on and find out what he has to say. Then he'll be followed by Philip Brady, Dermot, Amir, Michael, and then GC Spur. So we do have a lot of guests lined up, but let's get on Elias. Elias, my man, how are you keeping, brother?
Keeping good. How you doing, guys?
Yeah, I'm absolutely good, my man. Absolutely buzzing. What do you want to talk about, my man?
Let's go to Eriksen. He's a number 23. Eriksen. He's a yid like you and me. To the left, to the right. He's a midfield dynamite. When he plays in lily white, he makes Bruno and De Bruyne look shite. Hopefully.
So what's your thoughts then, basically, on Christian Eriksen? As you can see, we have not followed up after initial contacts made with Eriksen's camp. We've probably left the door open now. There's 8 other clubs interested. So what's your thoughts on a potential return of Christian Eriksen? Would you like to see him come back? Would you not?
Actually, I'm really excited to see him come back. As always, I want to see him as our number 23. I know some of the fans have their set of concerns. Some of my very close friends, they have their concerns regarding Eriksen. Like where the main question a lot of people are asking is where would he fit in? And just me being me, I was just sitting down the other day and I was having this thought while waiting at a bus stop, and I realized actually if you play 3-5-2 with Eriksen in and use Kulu as like a right wing back, actually that would work out very well in a way.
Really?
Yeah.
You think Conte can pull that off, my man? You think Kulu, the right wing back, sounds kind of crazy.
I would really love to see that. You know why? Because Kulu is somebody who we have seen that actually he can drop way deep in, and he is good at defending as well. And he has actually played that role before, and he can make runs all the way from the defensive position all the way in. But if we were to have a right wing back like that, then we definitely need like a solid back three line that can defend really. Like you need Romero, you really need. I think you really just can't rely on Dyer. You really need a proper center back, like Bremer or Skriniar, or one of those guys.
Would you maybe attempt that Skriniar, Elias? With Inter Milan coming out today saying they have to sell, and they probably will sell in a defender because it's easier to replace someone in the back line than it is as a striker because the shortage that is out there. So if we can't get Bastoni, would you then change your focus and try and get Skriniar out there?
Well, Skriniar won't be a bad option given that we do need a center back because Dyer. I mean, nothing to take off Dyer if you're a Dyer fan. He's a good player, but he's not that kind of player who you can really rely on when you go into Champions League. Dyer is more of like a backup, I would say. When now you are leveling up to that standard. If you want to reach top four, yes, Dyer is a good player. But Dyer, I think we really need a proper center back. And Dyer is actually a central midfielder, just to say. He has just come into that center back role over the last years. Originally, he's a midfielder. So you just can't rely on a player like that who is not naturally a center back. And for that, we I think need Bremer or Skriniar. But I think Skriniar, the amount of money that's involved in it, I don't think we'll be able to go for it because PSG is looking at it definitely.
Hmm.
And they're going to throw in as much money as they can to just get Skriniar. And because we all know that PSG has been struggling with their center backs with all the Ramos injury and since Thiago has
Mm.
departed. So I don't really see us coming up with that. But I think in contrast, what we can do is we can throw a bid that is higher and try to get Bastoni because that would make more sense for us to get. And I would like to see a pair of Bastoni with Bremer. And Bastoni has already played with Perisic, so that deal kind of makes more sense to me rather than
Yeah.
getting Skriniar.
No,
Mm.
I kind of agree with you there. Just quickly, Dave, to bottom Duda, just because we were given the opening greetings and I missed it. To bottom Duda celebrating 2 months as a Flat Cap Army member,
Come
saying
on, to
big up
bottom
the
to that.
Irish Hotspur. He's
Big
been
up the
here.
ball.
I feel like he's been here much longer than 2 months. So to bottom Duda, I think that's doing you an injustice there, my man. But really do appreciate all the support. They've been here since the beginning. He also keeps the conversation going lots of times. To bottom Duda, I wish he actually came up with some of the questions for today, but we're gonna do our best here tonight, Dave. But in the case of Bastoni, do you feel like there's a boost, given by the current situation? The fact that, Lautaro is sort of seen as kind of the golden boy, right, at Inter. They see, Morata just said, Elias, that's the guy they could not see selling. They do see themselves selling a center back. So Bastoni sort of maybe back on the cards here, which is, for me, at least personally, that's, lovely to see because we're settling for like fourth, fifth choice options at a certain stage for left-sided center back.
Yeah, definitely Bastoni being back, that card, if we can play that card, it would be a huge boost and it would be a huge signing for Spurs. I think that would be like one of the best signings we have ever made in the last 2 decades or so. Uh, but the only thing is, if we try to grasp that deal and we try to take the full advantage of it, and right now the situation is, if you want Bastoni, you need to give a bid that is higher than the one that PSG is willing to pay for Skriniar, and
Mm.
you need to match it around there because we all know Skriniar is a big asset for Milan as well. They may not want to sell him for that amount of a money, so we need to really throw in money for Bastoni if we want to really get him.
if
And
if we
Bastoni,
go to war with Inter Milan and PSG for the player that we want, does that show that we are actually trying to act like a big club, especially in the transfer market? And does it maybe send a message around Europe that, hey, Tottenham are here, we're ready, we've got Conte and Paratici in place, now we have the ambition and we're going for things? Does it send out a message around Europe if we compete with Inter and PSG?
it would send shivers down the spine of Inter Milan, PSG, Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United. Just count it, my man. It would really send shivers down their spine if we were to throw in money like that and counter these names. PSG, I mean, that club, we all know record signings and all that with Messi, Neymar, they deal with that kind of guys. If we were to beat them in a battle like that kind of player, absolutely we are on the right track. And one other thing I would like to say is this round we have the money. If you look at all the players that we are selling and already not other than the players that we have sold, I think currently the only deal that we have made about is so far the Bissouma deal. The rest are all free transfers. We haven't really gone to spend money, so we do have about 120 million to spend. And on top of that, you also got the money that is coming in from all the sales. When you sell Bergwijn, when you sell Reggie, you sell all those deadwood that you have to offload. If you consider all those sales, actually there are about 7 to 8 sales in total if you count, and easily you are about to get 180 to 190 million. Where else would you spend that money? Spend on these kind of deals, like really give competition for Bastoni, give competition for Skriniar. And really, we do need these kind of players coming into our squad if we want to play in Champions League, like a Champions League team, a proper Champions League team. Throw in money like this. But
Yeah.
be careful. Don't just throw money like United throw last round. be careful with your deals, lah. Like, I mean, don't just go and spend 80 million on Guardiola when you can actually get Bastoni slightly cheaper. So make sense out of it as well.
Hmm.
100%.
I agree with all that. Maybe just last little kind of question, in terms of the center backs, kind of just what are your thoughts on the fact that, let's say Bastoni, I know we're given a bit of a boost here. Let's say they do keep him, Skriniar goes to PSG, their center back problem is fixed. Gavardiol, I don't see that happening. If you ask me, Elias, it just seems off the cards. I just kind of released a video on Evan Ndika, someone who has a year left on his contract over at Frankfurt. And I kind of just asked the question, Pau Torres or Evan Ndika? You don't even have to pick between those two, but is Pau Torres your third choice? He seems to be Spurs' third choice, but not always the fans' third choice, because he seems a bit of a divisive, sort of, center back. So Pau Torres, is he kind of your third option after Gavardiol?
To be honest, I think after Guardiola and Bastoni, Torres would be my third option.
Yeah, a lot of people really do rate him though. Like you don't
Yeah,
have to,
he would be my third
jump
option.
on the hate
What's the
train.
name
I
of
mean,
the
I
player
think
you
he is
just
good.
mentioned? What's the name of the other player you just mentioned?
It's a guy over at Eintracht Frankfurt. His name is Evan Ndika.
Ika, how you spell his surname?
It's N and then it's like an apostrophe. I mean, if you don't know, my man, I mean,
Oh,
stick with your Pau
oh,
Torres, my
Andika,
man.
Andika,
And
Andika.
Ndika, yeah, the French center back.
Oh, okay,
They
okay,
got
okay.
PG.
Andika. Okay, I was reading about it. I think I was having a chat with somebody over that.
He'd be like a very cheap option for us because he has a year left. He's like around 25 million pounds, so you could see us more or less like what we would have paid for Kostic, right? Is probably what you'd be paying for almost like kind of Indika, more or less. So he'd be kind of like a very cheap, maybe fourth option, or would you rather maybe spend more money on like a Pau Torres?
And he's young. He's like 22, 21,
Yeah,
22.
he's
So
very young.
he's not just like a signing that's coming in.
No,
Okay.
he's very young still.
Which player you meant? Sorry, I pronounce here in Malaysia we pronounce the names very differently.
Just stick.
I,
You seem to like Pau Torres, my man. I'm asking you. I mean,
I,
you
I,
don't
I
like.
like Pau
Show the
Torres.
love for Pau Torres. Show the love for Pau Torres if you like Pau
I like
Torres.
Pau Torres actually, but the one thing I like about this guy is he has some really good goal stats as well. So he's not just a defender; he has some really good goals as well. So I wouldn't mind having him as well. So I would rate him like similar to Pau Torres as well. I haven't really watched him really, but
Yeah.
now as I just opened the stats and the stats are really good. In terms of his assists and his goals over the last season, he got like 8 goals involvement even for Eintracht Frankfurt in the
Mm.
league itself. So
Yeah.
not a bad one. Pau Torres, okay, I do have my reservations against him. He can sometimes be pretty clumsy, especially when he's facing he can sometimes get a bit nervous, especially when he's playing like some big games, and it was visible in some of his Champions League games. He was slightly shaky, like doesn't know what he's doing. So if let's say this Dika guy is better than him, I would say I'll take him.
Yeah. Yeah, but look, we'll wait and see, Elias. Look, the transfer window is definitely hotting up, my man. The rest of this week to go. Next week, hopefully, there'll be some signings in the door. But, Elias, big yourself up, my man. Really appreciate you coming on. Really enjoyed the conversation that you had. And keep coming on these fan shows and the We Are Tottenham TV ones as well, my man.
Sure thing, man. Any of you guys coming to Korea?
I wish. Look, actually, if there's anybody out there that can help maybe potentially make a trip to Korea for preseason happen, by all means, you get in contact. But I've already checked out the prices and all. For me, it's definitely not financially possible for anytime soon.
Okay.
But anybody who wants to represent the Harris Army and the Irish Hotspur Army, feel free and enjoy it on our behalf, and feel free to document it for us, and we'd be happy to enjoy it with you.
Yeah.
Big up Elias, though, my man.
Big up Elias, and we'll see you soon, my man.
See you all next week. Come on,
you,
Spurs.
Come on,
Catch you, my man.
Big up Elias. Big up Elias. Just a couple of things before we get on the next guest. First of all, we have reached 6.8K on this channel. Less than 200 away from getting to 7K. Absolutely appreciate every single one of you. From the people that have been here from the very beginning to the people that have joined, only recently. The success of this channel will not happen without you guys. So I value every single one of you. And thank you so so much for your support. I want to take this comment from Paul. He says, how's it going, Dave and Jack? I haven't been on for a while. Hope you're all okay. Keep up the good streams. Come on, you Spurs. Really appreciate the kind words, my man. We are all good. Big yourself up, brother. And we've got Franco Martini says, priority this summer is building strength and depth. Eriksen will fit into that context, i.e. as someone to bring off the bench against the low block teams. Yeah, look, I agree. I think he would be, but I can understand why people wouldn't want him back as well. But for me, I've stated this earlier on, I just think that you can get him in now relatively cheap and use the money to really improve on that defense, which for me was a major part of our Achilles heels last season. In fact, we actually, gave away more points last season than what we did actually struggle going forward against some of these teams, in my opinion. And that's why the defence needs to be strengthened. Wayne Bonner says if the club are serious with their interest in Bastoni, then offer 60 million and get the business.
Yeah, spot on.
I could not agree more. Shove
the money in their face, Wayne. Exactly. Make them accept it. Exactly.
And then Nick Coy's Hardy man is setting me up here because this is what I wanted to touch on when it comes to Ndike. He says, great video that was, Jack. Yes, Ndike and Koulibaly would be my choice. Good rotation there. Big up, David. Big up, Nick.
Appreciate that, Nick. Appreciate that.
With Ndike, I'm going to say something. Look, I'm not against this guy coming in, but French players are notorious for trouble. Look at Mbappe at PSG, the way he screwed over Real Madrid, the demands he's made, etc. Paul Pogba, Man United. Martial, Man United, went to Sevilla, still had attitude problems. Ndombele at Tottenham. For me, if you're going to be signing French guys, you really, really got to do your homework on these guys. Because you can't deny it. I have the evidence.
You look at the starting 11, Dave, just to chime in here. You look at the starting 11 of the French national team. I mean, a lot of those guys are very much hotheads. Like a lot of those guys are hotheads when you look at that starting 11. The only one I would say the exception right now, maybe like Christopher Nkunku, maybe seems to be the only guy that I would say hasn't had that reputation. Maybe Karim Benzema, maybe the only other one that doesn't have that reputation. Well, Rabiot. But Dave, like Rabiot, like you said, Paul Pogba, Ousmane Dembele, Tanguy Ndombele, and plenty more. Hussam Aouar, apparently the only reason nobody goes for Aouar is because he has some maybe attitude issues there. So as much as I think it's sometimes can be a harsh criticism, you kind of look at the starting 11 for the French national team. You got to look at some hotheads there. Griezmann as well, of course, as we know. Not wrong, Dave, I would say. Not wrong. But like I said, people just said Lloris. Like I said, I'll stick by Benzema, or maybe Benzema, like you said, actually the criminal to a degree at some stage as well. But I do I have a soft spot for Benz. And then, I don't know. It's an interesting subject, maybe for another time. But I would say the backup point to Evan Ndika, he's not as much of like a Liga more product. He's more of a Bundesliga product. Like he's developed his whole time over at Frankfurt, a club, Dave, that has obviously, as we know, a huge fan base and a very strong and very powerful ultra fan base. So you have to be performing in front of those guys. And maybe, he knows the meaning of, hard work, and he might know the meaning of performing in front of the fans. You could be right, though, Dave. But I would say Evan Ndika may be the exception.
Hopefully that he's in Germany. He's come through that sort of system, hopefully. But I'm just saying, when a lot of these players end up making the national team,
at least Spurs have a bad history. At least Spurs have a bad notions history
about themselves. So I'll be very, very clever. I think you have to really do your homework on these French players before you sign them. Look, we got the Lloris one, right? But we've also been burnt, before we end on Belly, we brought in G and Kudu from there as well. So, look, for me, I think you just got to do your homework. We've rattled off a lot of names there. Jack the Bottom, do it with the super chat, says, if not Eriksen and minus the fancy names, I think Asensio could be a smart signing. Can play as a cam and a right winger. He is a winner with Real. 1 year left on his contract. Conte will improve him further. I'm just going to go quickly on Asensio. Look, I'll be honest. He's a player that I don't really know a whole lot about. I know that he kind of had a big reputation, etc. But in my opinion, I don't think he's really fully ever lived up to that. Bit of a journeyman, in my opinion, maybe at Madrid. From my understanding of the situation there, I would stay well away from him, if I'm being honest. I think there's better targets out there we can go and get. Now, Jack, I could be talking shit.
No. Here's the thing. I have two answers for you, Bottom Duda. I have the optimistic answer for Asensio, and I have the negative answer. Asensio, I mean, he's been at Real Madrid this entire time. He basically started his whole career with this like incredible long shot that I think he had against like Sevilla or Sociedad or whatever it was way back in the day. And I remember everybody was like, who is this kid? Ever since then, it's like Asensio, he like pops in, pops out, maybe starts, has a good season. Then the following season, doesn't do anything. I think ever since Ancelotti has come in, he hasn't been liked. The last days of Zidane, he wasn't really being approved very much. So it's just like he just needs to leave. I feel like he just needs to leave Real Madrid. And the big problem with Asensio is he's been sort of in that coddled environment of Real Madrid for so long. Will he be able to make that step into a team where he doesn't have that, similar kind of comfortable kind of environment? I don't know. But I would say, though, about Asensio is that guy does have an incredible long shot, like still to this day. Like I have seen that guy score some bangers.
Yeah.
But he did, though, just the other day, Dave. I think it was in the Champions League. One of his most recent Champions League performances. I remember he was like just absolutely awful. Like he just wasn't cutting it for them. And the reason he doesn't even play ahead of Rodrigo, that Brazilian player, is for a good reason potentially too. Like Real Madrid have even lost faith in him.
Yeah, and look, it is worth noting that Bottom Duda did say minus the fancy names. But I'll be honest with you, Bottom Duda, I think we should be aiming for someone better than Asensio. At the end of the day, I'll be honest, it's a bit like Lucas Moura. You just don't know what you're going to get from him on any given day, and we can't keep continuing bringing in players like that into the squad. For me, I would like someone that I know has a bit of consistency through their performances. If not Eriksen, there's plenty out there. Weston McKennie, we've been linked with, Paqueta, who's that other idiot? James Maddison, been linked with him as well. So, there's plenty of other options out there. The Bottom Duda, though, let me know what you think of the links to David Raum.
He likes to test the waters, though, to Bottom Duda. Like, of course, this isn't his first choice. Like, this isn't his first choice, but he's just trying to test the waters here. He's just trying to see, what we might accept, I think, is what he's going for. Big up to Bottom Duda.
Big up the Bottom Duda. Big up. Everybody keep smashing that like and that subscribe. And feel free to get the super chats in. But big up the Bottom Duda, my man. Really do appreciate the support. I'm sorry I don't fall with you. But look, this is the great thing about football. It is all about opinions. And everybody has one. That's what it's about. But look, we will keep moving. And we'll get on the next guy. And he's
Godfather just time.
That, and in fact, me and myself and Jack can just probably sit back, because I love listening to Philip just as much as the next guy. So, Philip, how are you keeping, my man?
Yeah, very good, lads. Very good. Yeah, so
What's on your mind
just
today?
Spurs winning the League Cup in 2008 again. It doesn't age, that game. It's so pleasurable to watch it every so often,
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It definitely is. Did you celebrate like you did back then as well?
No. If I remember, I watched that game in the house of a Chelsea fan. So I kind of made me escape pretty quickly afterwards, just in case I was kidnapped or something. He didn't take it very well.
I remember I watched that game. The old lad brought me up to my uncle's at the time to watch it because one half of the town could get chorus and the other couldn't. Just weird the way it worked out. So we were on the end that couldn't. So we had to go up to my uncle's to watch it. I was absolutely buzzing. But look, Philip, I mean, what do you want to talk about? There's been so much that's unfolded, over the week when I last spoke to you. So what's on your mind today? Yeah,
it's to be honest with you, I got a bit annoyed today with all the different stories coming out from different sources. Like the best one I saw today was reading down through the internet, and one Rafinha is quids in to go to Arsenal, right? No problem. Deal's done. 2 pages down the thing, Rafinha's going to sign for Barcelona. Deal's done. So what I'm saying is, if these guys, one of them is wrong, or maybe both of them are wrong. So I like quality, well-informed stuff coming out. But I think there's too many guys out there trying to make a name for themselves by just dreaming up what the next big transfer is going to be. And I'd say the success rate is about 1% if they're lucky.
I think it's because they get a bit stir crazy, Philip.
Sorry, Jack.
I think I think it's a lack of matches. They're sitting there
it's stir
scratching their ass,
crazy.
know what to do with themselves. There's no games to report on. So they're making who we make up the story about today. Oh, we haven't been with Tottenham for a couple of days. Let's say, Lionel Messi's thinking of coming to Tottenham with a free transfer. That sort of stuff. Although that's a bit extreme.
Yeah.
Some people think it's the blindfold, Philip, where they're, sometimes they're just throwing darts, at the board, said, oh, looks like
I've no doubt
Rafinha's
that's what
linked
they do
with
in the Sun and the Daily Star. That's definitely what they do there, anyway.
But look, what's your thoughts?
Papers.
What's your thoughts maybe on Tottenham maybe being linked with Rafinha? I know, look, all the various reports out there, but what's your thoughts on this guy potentially if Tottenham were to go for him?
I love him. I'd love to have him at the club. I really would. I'd prefer him to Richarlison. I think Richarlison, well, I wouldn't say no to him either. Richarlison is a bit of a loose cannon. He's a bit of an attitude about himself. So whereas Rafinha just seems to get down with it, and he's good. Like, he looked very good in a very mediocre Leeds team. So, I think he'd do very well. But I honestly don't know whether the budget would stretch to him and whether he'd come, given that maybe his position was already occupied at Spurs, which is another thing, It's the same with Gabriel Jesus. I can't honestly see us buying him coming to Spurs and playing back up to Harry Kane. But then again, it would worry me a lot if Arsenal signed both Jesus and Rafinha.
Yeah. Right.
Of course,
and also
Dave
also said, Philip, we could, like you were saying, what if we get that cup run, and maybe, go far in the Premier League? Like, we could be playing 50 to 60 games, some of these players. So,
this is going to be a squad. I think I loved what Conte is supposed to have said during the week. Again, I don't know whether this is true or not, but he's more or less, he wants to drum it into the players that there's not a first 11 next season. Yeah. There's going to be so many matches to be played. It's a squad effort. Yeah, and you play to your capabilities, you'll be in that team. So we want a squad of 25 players busting their balls to get in that first 11. And if that's the case, and Conte at the helm, we will go places next season.
There's no A and B team. There's no A and B teams anymore.
There's no A and B team, but there'll be a mix and match team for the various competitions. Like, it'll be the strongest team for the Champions League. It might not be the strongest team for the Carling Cup or whatever they're calling it this week.
A good manager doesn't have an A and a B squad. A good manager has that one squad, and he manages to use it to the way he needs to without anyone actually really feeling like an actual backup. And I think actually, Philip, that it's something in the fan base that we need to get used to saying. It's not backup, it's competition. We finished last season with 14 fit senior players. At times, you're looking at the bench against Brentford, Brighton. Change the game. You can't. We need options in here. We need, on top of what we already have, we need other players to come in and contest for their spot so that these players we already have can also reach a new level under Conte, Philip.
Absolutely. You're spot on. You couldn't have said it better myself. It's going to be, there's going to be maybe 24, 25 players there, 2 players in every position, plus a couple of spares. And when I say spares, I don't mean Harry Winks, okay? So and that's the way Conte will manage it. That's the way he will manage the team next season. There'll be no, as you say, no A and B team, but there'll be a mix and match to suit the competitions. That's got to be good for everybody. And if we can get an injury-free run, which, there's always going to be injuries cropping up, but if we can get a relatively injury-free run and get another season at Harry Kane with no injuries, I've already seen things. Can Tottenham challenge Manchester City and Liverpool for the title next season? Yes. And I don't think I've said that in a long, long time. I might have said it during Poch's era. The season we came second and the season we ran Leicester so close. But I think, yes, this is going to be the season, the tester, that we're going to really, really push hard because we've shown our intent. And we can also, if we're competing against, as Imran said earlier on there, we're competing against the likes of PSG and Inter Milan and whatever for players. That is going to make the football world sit up and hang on, Tottenham mean business. Right. And if we sign Rafinha ahead of Barcelona, what statement does that send out?
Yeah, I agree. And look, it just announces basically Tottenham are here. We've got Antonio Conte. We mean business. And look, I would love to see us go head to head for Bastoni or Skriniar. Even at Inter Milan. I mean, Philip, did you I don't know whether you're watching the evening headlines, but we were saying that the Inter Milan CEO came out today and said basically when he was asked about Lautaro Martinez, he said they will not be letting him go whatsoever. And basically that they do have to sell in order to conduct business and balance the books, and that it will be a defender rather than a striker, because a defender is easier to replace than a striker. So do you think that this club should show that sort of ambition and either go for Bastoni or go for Skriniar, who we were linked with under Steve Hitchen?
I think when I heard the word Steve Hitchen, it immediately kind of puts me off the player we're linked with, purely because of his reputation. If I was Paratici, I would be on the first plane to Milan tomorrow morning with a check for 60 million in my pocket. Slap it down the table and say, right, lads, there you go. Are you giving us Bastoni?
Yeah.
That's what we should be doing. No messing around with a bid of 40 million, which you know is going to be rejected. You're only giving other teams time to come in and test the water. Go in with a
an offer they can't refuse, Philip.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we haven't spent the money, the 150 million or anywhere near it. We spent 25 million and the rest are freebies. So let's we mean business. Let's show we mean business, and go out there and don't fart around over trying to save $1 million here and there. Those days cost us so. Those kind of attitudes cost us so much in the past. Yeah. Like we lost out on Jack Grealish because of that.
Yeah.
So it's Paratici, I think Levy, to be honest with him, has seen the error of his ways now. Because he's seen what he's got in his possession now with Paratici and Conte. You do not have two better people in the job than those two. And if he wants to hang on to them, he's going to agree what they want. So go for it. Go for it.
And look, maybe last question from me, and I'm sure Jack has a few. But actually, I have two more, but I'll wait till Jack's finished his questions because I want to ask you on Troy Parrott lastly before we let you go. I think that's very important. As you know, me and you have been on Troy Parrott watch all summer long, Philip. But before I ask you on Troy Parrott, how many more players do you think we need in this store to compete like you were talking about?
3 are in. I guess 4 are in. Or
we've got three. Fraser Foster, Ivan Perisic, and we've got Zuma. That's 3. Okay.
I'm giving Josh Keeley a lot of credit.
Yeah, well, that's the St. Pat's goalkeeper. Yeah, well, he's one for the future, hopefully. Okay, well, we need to get Jed Spence in, right? We need to get Bastoni in, and we need to get the likes of Rafinha in as well. So with those 6 players in, we can do the business. Now, I've deliberately left Christian Eriksen.
You got room for more. I think Conte said 8 or 9, I think, at one stage.
Oh, maybe. I mean, I'm being realistic here. You know, if you go for 8 or 9, you might get 6. If you go for 10, you might get 8.
We might start getting dizzy at that stage.
I'm gone. As you probably know, my initial reaction to Christian Eriksen was no. Then I'll kind of be swayed a wee bit the way he came back so well with Brentford and played so well and basically kept them up. But now when you see these rumours of him looking for a huge, again, this might not be true, looking for a huge salary, looking for a huge signing on bonus and that. And I'm beginning to go the other way against him now. And it's to help the guy, I don't know if he could survive one of Conte's pre-seasons either. No, it's because they are boot camp stuff.
Yeah.
And again, you know, maybe that's the reason he doesn't want to come back to Tottenham or doesn't want to come. Would like to come back to Tottenham, but for his health, maybe he just feels he can't. Let him go up to that rest home up at Old Trafford if he wants to. You know.
Philip, I don't want to ask you.
He'll be rich. He'll be counting his money while he's regretting it, you know?
Yeah.
Philip, I don't want to ask you a question that, you know, you could give me an hour's answer on, but, you know, you're welcome to because we all love listening to it. But, you know, you're saying how you feel like, you know, Levy sort of is changing his ways to a degree. But, I mean, a huge part of that has to do with what Ali Gold was just talking about, where you're saying Paratici is, you know, seen as like a workaholic around the grounds. Like people said that he hasn't even really taken a day off yet, you know, since the end of, you know, the season. And these sort of kind of workaholic, you know, kind of, you know, relentless, you know, always on the phone, these sort of kind of quotes around Paratici, I feel like they were never said about Hitchen, you know, ever, at least in my lifetime, you know, so I don't know. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, as you know, my opinion of Steve Hitchen was if he got a job down stacking the shelves in Sainsbury's or Aldi or something, that's about his level, you know. Paratici, I'll tell you what, I'll be very generous. He can have a day off on the 1st of September.
Exactly. I mean, I love that.
I mean, Philip, even the Lord took a day off. Even the Lord took the 7th day off, you know.
Yeah, look what happened to him, though.
Paratici knows better than him.
I want to keep Parrot. Listen, keep him at it until the minute the transfer window closes. He can pack his bag and go off. But the guy probably doesn't relax anyway. Like I say, he goes to sleep with his phone in his ear. He's just one of these. And it's great to see it. It really is great to see it. And long may it continue, because I mean he has done, like, for Spurs to have signed 3 or 4 players by the 20th of June. I mean, I can never remember that happening before.
Well, Philip, add the staff he's after signing as well to help in the scouting department. He's been very busy.
Yeah, exactly. Busy. He has. I mean, but again, that's another thing where Levy has taken on extra staff. Would he have done that if he hadn't got Conte and Paratici there pushing him to do it? He wouldn't. Mm-hmm. He'd be working on a basic level of staff that, with nobody there to back it, no backup, just one person for each job, and that's not the way it is now. I'd say we've probably got about the most comprehensive backroom team of any of the Premiership clubs at the moment.
Yeah,
Look, and did that guy Simon Davis ever turn up for work? Remember, he was missing in action there. He's supposed to have gone back to some other club or something.
No. He's definitely at Tottenham Hotspur. Head of methodology. I mean, honestly, if I could make up a title, that would definitely be it. It sounds important. It's absolutely unbelievable. But look, Philip, before I ask you a bit on Troy Parrott, Franco Martini says, Philip, do you not think that Grealish is the left-sided Lucas? I do not think he's any better than that.
No, I don't really rate Grealish. He's the worst spend of 100 million ever, I think. But the fact is, 3 or 4 years ago, we might have got him, and Pochettino might have groomed him. Like, he's gone into a City team where he's not even the first regular. So I think he made the wrong decision there. If we'd have got him, he'd be a better player now. Probably, he'd be similar to Lucas. But I mean, let's face it, Jack Grealish never got us into a Champions League final like Lucas did. So, he's happy now. He's frolicking around in Las Vegas at the moment, they say, with a few other Premiership lads, So I'll be waiting for the salacious stories to come back from that trip,
Yeah, no, 100%, Philip. But look, lastly, Troy Parrott, the pictures have been circulating over the weekend of him doing extra training work in Mykonos, at a well-renowned performance center, and then hoping to maybe come back to the pre-season and maybe see if he can offer Conte something. And this is off the back of him, just before he went on international duty, basically saying, he had a very good end of a loan at MK Dons, especially the second half. It clicked with him in the second half of the season. That's off the back of a good international spell. But he also said that maybe he can go out on loan for another year and is aiming to be in the Spurs first team the season after. Do you expect this to be a breakout season from Troy Parrott with all the hard work he is putting in? Like I said, doing extra work before pre-season. And how long do you think it could be? Or do you ever think Troy Parrott could ever offer competition or get into the Spurs team?
Well, let's look at Troy Parrott went out on loan to Millwall and Ipswich, and it turned into a bit of a disaster. I think he was probably recalled from some of them. Then he went out to MK Dons, where I think he played about 40 matches last season and scored 10 goals for MK Dons. Nearly got them into the playoffs or into the promotion. So I think what's going to happen this season,
like a few times as well, or twice.
I mean, he was very well thought of, and you can be sure that there was somebody from Tottenham on the phone to MK Dons every Monday morning to find out how Troy Parrott was getting on, as they do with all the loan players. So I think what's going to happen this season, it's great to see him out there. He's only had a week off and he's back training again, which is great commitment, because, Dave, you and me were always a bit worried about that commitment, that he was maybe putting his energies into the wrong type of...
Well, we were right. I mean, we all read the newspapers, Philip.
Well, that's true. But hopefully now he's... let's hope he's not on the list of anyone. See a man, the boxer wasn't into America because of his associations with the Kinahans. I hope Troy Parrott doesn't have the same problem anytime he goes. But anyway, I think what's going to happen there is he's going to be let go on loan, maybe to Swansea, where he can hook up with Oba Messi, as you call him.
Yeah,
and he does have a future. Conte wants him back at Tottenham the season after next, with a lot of goals under his belt, a lot more experience, and then it's going to be the make or break season. Not this one after.
I couldn't agree more. Well, look, Philip, hopefully we'll see you on the channel this week for maybe a nice panel show if you are around, my man. Thank you very much for your time this evening. As usual, People absolutely love listening to you, and you brought the numbers up as well on the views as well. So credit to you. Thank you, Philip.
No problem, lads. Anytime. See you soon.
See
Legend.
you soon, my man.
Love
Big
Come on,
up,
you
Philip.
Spurs.
Come on,
Big
you
up the
Spurs.
Godfather in the comments, everybody. Big him up. Show
Oh.
him the support he deserves, everybody. The
Yeah.
Godfather.
Nah, big up. What a guy. What a guy. Everyone in the comments saying they love Philip. Absolutely love him. Guys, 205 in house. Everyone keep smashing that like button. Keep smashing that subscribe button. Reached 6.8. Now we want to get to 6.9. Let's see how much of a dent into it we can make during this show. And guys, feel free to show your support to everything myself and Jack do here and get in a super chat with your thoughts and opinions on things. And we'll have a good conversation on it. And you skip to the queue and we will get straight to it. But look, we do understand it is a big bad world out there. Not everybody's in a position to be able to do it. In fact, most people can barely afford to get to work anymore in their cars. So, I mean, do not worry if you can't. Just put in the comments your thoughts and your opinions. But look, we're absolutely flying today. Let's keep it going. Next on, I believe we have, is it Amir? Amir from the Open Peace Podcast. Amir, how are you keeping, my man?
I'm doing well, David. Jack, how are you? Everything good?
All good. All good, my man. Absolutely buzzing. But look, I mean, what do you want to talk about?
Look, firstly, listening there in the background, I must say I heard something that kind of got to me. Jack, you said Levy's changed. Has he changed, though? Has he changed? Where is the big money signing?
We love to
Where
jump
are
on
the
the
big
trends
players
here,
coming
Amir,
through?
so tell me. Tell me. Yeah, we love to jump on the trends. We love to get ahead of ourselves. So tell me, Amir.
Yeah, we got a couple in for free. We got Basuma in for 25 mil. Okay, it's all well and good. I'm not against those signings. But where's the Bastoni? Where's the Bremer? Where's the, let's say, okay, if people want Rafinha in, he's a great player, I'd take him in. Where's the Gabriel Jesus if people want him in as an extra striker to complement Harry Kane when he's off his game and he can slot in. So to me, Daniel Levy hasn't changed anything yet. We're seeing Amir, signs of gold.
Are we giving? Should we be giving more of the credit than more to Paratici? Because is it just Paratici that's just instant? Because Amir, I think we have to agree that there's some sort of change in the culture here. There's some sort of change in the way we're operating. I've asked the question in the past, are Spurs changing their bad habits when it comes to the transfer market? Most people said yes. So I guess you would say then, is that mostly then coming from a Paratici or a Conte, or is that maybe coming from a Levy?
But then just to add to that, if you're praising Paratici and Conte, you've got to praise Daniel Levy, because if we remember back to last season, and I mean myself as well, and everybody else was swinging from the rafters for Levy to take himself away from negotiations and put someone in the footballing side in charge. And he'd done that with Paratici, who then got Conte. And then we're now acting, we signed quality over quantity in the January transfer window. You go into the summer window, we've got 3 signings in within the first week of the window opening. We do not do that at Tottenham Hotspur. And I think that's maybe what Jack was more getting at. Now, look, don't get me wrong. I think there's still a hell of a lot more work to do. I agree with you. Where is a Bastoni? Where is a marquee signing like that? But you've got to give the guy, if we're going to criticize him, we've also got to give him credit for bringing in someone like a Paratici who has made some of these changes. Yes, there's a lot more to do, but we started off well.
I agree we've started off well, and it's a start. But unfortunately, Levy has done so many things in the past that have messed our club around, and it's been for the last 20-odd years, So for me, his success will be weighed upon silverware, not upon signings and not upon top fours and all this. It will be weighed on silverware. So for me, I want to see those big money signings come in, your defenders, because I think that's where we're lacking the most. Obviously, I want additions in the midfield. I'd like to see Eriksen come in. I think he can slot in there, play a nice 20, 25 games, 30 games for us, and be integral in the cups. And we need an extra striker. We need an extra striker to fill the void. Could Parrott do it? I think he's a little bit too young. Send him out on loan one more season. Yeah, he needs another loan. Look, even Kane wasn't ready at the age of 20. Kane wasn't
Yeah.
ready at 20.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
send him out for
I wanna
another
say-
year. He was,
I just want to say
yeah,
quickly
sure. Go on.
before I move on to Troy Parrott. I wouldn't be out here, beating Daniel Levy with where's the big money signing yet, because we're less than 2 weeks into the transfer market actually opening. Yes, I know Man City have gone and got Haaland. I know Liverpool have gone and got Darwin Núñez, but what has most of the rest of the clubs around Europe done? Big clubs and stuff like that. They don't even have their big money signings in yet, bar maybe a couple. So I wouldn't exactly be beating Daniel Levy with that yet. There's still another 10 weeks left of this window for it to happen. And look, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm just as frustrated with Daniel Levy as the next guy is. I'm as frustrated as you guys for not lifting trophies. But I do see a bit of change going on. But hopefully, long may it continue.
You see, if there was a marquee signing with, in addition to the free transfers, then I would have a lot more
that
hope.
would be
That would give me more strength.
Yeah.
Jack. Yeah, that would give me that extra strength. But the fact that
this is what I'm saying, Amir. This is what I'm saying from the very beginning. I said, David and I, we love to get ahead of ourselves. We're not afraid, to jump the gun. We don't need all the evidence. Sometimes we'd be the worst detectives in the world, Amir, because we just need one piece of evidence, and we make all the conclusions out there. But in terms of the idea that Bastoni, we've been given a bit of a boost, right? Because Skriniar, is linked to PSG, and then Morata over at Inter said that they're more willing to let go of a center back than they are willing to let go of Lautaro Martinez. I mean, the headlines are saying that gives us a boost with Bastoni. Does that give you a boost with Bastoni, Amir?
Yeah, I've got a sneaky feeling he's coming. I don't want to get ahead of myself, though. I don't want to go crazy and start waving.
See, now we're trading places.
Cooking up the pizzas and yeah, I've got a good feeling. That gut feeling when you're like, I feel good about this. That's the feeling I got with Bastoni, because even his agents, what sneaky words that he's putting in there to the things I just got a feeling that we can convince him to come. And the fact that Conte is his Italian brethren, for me, that's a real seal of approval there, because he can help him settle into the club, get him to understand where he's come to, the step up to the Premier League, help him out with that, the Italian community in London, get him involved with them. So I really feel that Conte and Paratici can hopefully get this one over the line for us. And I'm really hoping that it's before the preseason kicks off, because I think he needs that time to be there next to Romero, next to Davies, next to Dyer, next to the back four, back five, whoever we're playing with, so that he can get used to them and understand who he's playing with.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, actually. And my kind of feeling though with Bastoni though is, what do you feel like with what Philip has sort of said? You kind of make that offer you can't refuse. Do you feel like Spurs should have done that in the first place? You feel like, Amir, in the case of Bastoni?
Look, if Levy is squibbling over $1 million here, $1 million there, then that's showing that he's not changed. He's trying to get the best deal.
I guess in this case, to be fair to him, it's about 20 million more. I think is the one, because I think, what did they say? They said 61 million euros. I think was the original one they said they would consider. And I think what classic us, we went in with 61 million and nothing higher, nothing lower. And then what they really, I think, would say yes to would be something around that 70 million, 80 million mark, euros wise. Let's just talk euros.
Then you should go. You should give that 70 million euro. There you go, Bastoni. Here's time to move into your new place in London. Here's time to get accustomed to London living and come in as quick as possible. That would be my take on it. As well as outgoings. I don't know what you guys have heard of. I haven't heard Winks is going. Obviously, Bergwijn to Ajax. There's hot talk about that. But I want to see outgoings. I want to see the money coming in, so that we can go and give that extra 10 million. Boom, bring Bastoni straight in and get him into the squad.
Do you know what the problem is? I hate to say this. We could sit here and say we want to see outgoings all we want, but if there's no interest for the players we're selling, There's nothing we can do about it. You look at Endom Lardas for Ronald McDonald loaded the French fries. I mean, at the end of the day, what club is going to want to come and take him? His loan spell to Lyon was not a success. Lascelles, okay, there's maybe interest in him. All these clubs you're seeing, they like the look of Winks. They like the look of Winks. If they wanted Winks, they come and get him because he's available. That's all a smokescreen to try and generate interest in the guy. The players we are selling, there's not an awful lot of interest in, and that is the biggest problem here.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, no, you've got a point there, David. You know, Ndombele, I would say he's the worst signing since Rebrov. You know, like he's literally he's terrible.
Because he's impossible to get rid of. That's what makes it even worse, right? Is that when you buy a player that you spend all this money in the world on, and then you can't even get rid of them. You know, it's like the other.
Do you know what though? Levy's gonna have to bite the bullet. Just get him off the wage bill. Just give him away. Just get him. Take the L.
I think what we will do there, to be honest with you, Amir, is we will wait until the last day of the transfer window, a bit like what we've done with Serge Aurier. Wait to see if we can generate any sort of interest. If there is none, rip up the blaming contract. I think that's what we might end up having to do with him.
Yeah. No, I agree. The guy's attitude stunk, you know, and it doesn't matter the amount of talent you got in your legs, right? If you don't have the right attitude to work hard, to give your all, then as a sportsman, doesn't matter if it's football or if it's golf or if it's snooker or boxing, whatever you're into, if your heart's not in it, you're done. You're finished. Yeah. All the talent in the world isn't going to save you. And you know, that's his that's the way.
Speaking of someone who doesn't need the talent, you know, Amir, you know, just because I know, I just want your thoughts because you don't even need to be a Højbjerg lover, but there was, you know, some links that Winks and Højbjerg were going to be, you know, kind of, you know, considered out the door. It's like, why are these guys even put in the same sentence? You know,
no, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Honestly, the Viking, he can. If it was up to me, I'll be signing him a lifetime contract and keeping him there to coach the younger generations coming through. Because that, in terms of what we were just talking about with Ndombele, he's the opposite spectrum, isn't he? He's hardworking. He's hard hitting. He's a great tackler. He's even learned how to pass. Like he's doing some amazing passing recently as well for Denmark.
Playing dimes.
Yeah.
The guy doesn't miss a game. And I don't know if you notice, when he goes in for challenges, he gets injured and he's like, and he hurts for like a second. He just gets up and he's like, bugger it. And then he's off sprinting to the next guy.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see.
Even one player, a friend of mine, even Amir, the other day, that's not even a Spurs fan. He just said, like, he described Højbjerg as just like, when I said that, I was like, you know, some people really don't like Højbjerg, you know, in the fan base. He goes like, how? He was like, Højbjerg's the most annoying player you guys have in your team. He was saying, because he said like, he just said Højbjerg's like a pest. You know, he was saying he's not that player that, you know, he says he's not the flashiest, but he's like, he's just annoying. He's just annoying.
He's the perfect player in the system that we play in the 3-4-3. When you've got those two guys back there holding, he's just perfect because he'll let Bentancur go and do his thing and go run up and then he's also good when he can get into the middle and switch and lay the ball off. And I think that if he worked on a few aspects of his game, he could even get into that world class of player. And that's no joke. If he had a little bit better of a shot on him, if his passing accuracy was that little bit better and he was assisting a little bit more. I wish
he finished those chances that he had at the end of the season. I wish he finished those chances. He would have been everybody's new favorite player. He would have been that's what it's like to be a Højbjerg fan. You have to stick through him with those moments. You have to stick through him with those moments.
If he finished them chances, nobody would be speaking about him this summer.
Exactly.
It's that simple. Nobody would.
That's what it's like as a Højbjerg fan.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's hard at times, Jack. We're so passionate about Højbjerg. But look, Amir, I mean, do you want to plug your podcast before we let you go, my man?
Sorry, let's get that in.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Just a quick one here. You know, I do have my own podcast where we're talking about peace. I recently had actually a Russian guy come on who, you know, is against the war and stuff over there. And I don't think people realize, right? It's terrible on both sides. What the Ukrainians are going through is terrible, but what the Russian people are also going through is horrific. They have out. They've got no media. They can't access BBC. So it's really difficult situation over there. So we had a little chat on there about what can be done. And yeah, my channel's all about promoting peace. You know, it's the only way to go, really, at the end of the day, you know. And hopefully one day we'll see it, you know, in the future. We'll learn to live together, and we won't see the kind of horrific things that are going on at the moment. Yeah, so you know, I appreciate every single subscriber that comes on along, and you know, you're welcome to tune in. We try and do episodes once a week, something like that. So yeah.
Well,
Thanks
I mean,
a lot, bro.
look, peace isn't exactly a bad thing to strive for in this world. So, you know, everybody get over to Amir's podcast, smash the subscribe button, because look, as much as we like football, everyone dabbles a bit in, like, you know, politics and all this sort of stuff as well. So get over there, smash that subscribe button. But Amir, thank you very much for your time today, brother. And I really do appreciate it.
It's been my pleasure. It's always my pleasure to come and talk to you gents, you know, and come on the mighty Spurs, and we're bringing home that silverware this season.
Come on,
I love
there
it. I
you go,
love it.
Amir.
Come on,
Love
you
you, my
Spurs.
man.
Big up, Amir, my man. We'll see you again very, very soon.
Take it easy, lads.
See you, brother.
Catch you, brother.
See you, brother. Everybody, that's Amir, guys. Absolutely brilliant calling. Absolutely brilliant. But look, I think we'll just keep moving, Jacko.
Keep going.
Let's keep getting these guests on. And next we have Dermatron. Every time you say it, you've got to do the Peter Crouch robot. You got to move like a robot. Dermot, how are you keeping, my man?
I am fine.
Yeah.
Hear me all right. Am I coming through all right?
Yeah. You're coming through. Oh, good, my man. So, look, where do you want to take this? Where, you know, anything that maybe any of the previous guests have said, anything that we spoke about today? What do you want to talk about?
I want to also put it out there. Look where we were this time last summer. We had no manager. We were running around like a headless chicken with Bird and Matthews running after him. We didn't get a player in until late into the transfer window. And the start of this season, we've got 3 players in already. We've got the best manager in the world. We seem to be well structured finally at last. I'm not Levy's biggest fan, but I'm preparing to see where this goes. Now, if that makes me out to be on one side of the other, then it does. But I just see it more from how we were last season to this season. It's just a complete different kettle of fish altogether. And big up Amir. I did watch some of his stuff. It's absolutely fantastic. So everyone should get over there. He's very good.
There you go. Look, just on that point, Dermot. I mean, look, I can see it from both sides. Look, like again, I said, I share the frustrations, but because we haven't named a big name signing within a week and a half of the transfer window, is not something to be beating the chairman or the club with. You know, the fact that they put in 150 million to aid this transfer window, you can't ignore that. The fact that they got in Paratici to change the way we operate on the football side of things, you can't ignore that. The fact that we didn't make the same mistakes in January that we've made before, you can't ignore that. The fact that we've now operated early, got 3 signings in within a week and a half of the window being open, you cannot ignore that. And for me, I just think, look, I get it, but right now there's 10 weeks left of the window. You know, I'm not going to sit here 10 weeks later if we do it and go, oh, well, you know, I told you we were going to do it, etc., etc., etc. Look, let's just sit back and see what this window takes without any bashing of the club or with the chairman and stuff like that. See what happens. And if you're not happy come towards the end of the window, by all means, voice your opinions. But right now, let Paratici cook.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look at last summer, no manager, no players. We were a laughing stock last summer. This summer, we've got a top manager in, and we've got 3 signing-ins already.
And the outlet said extra ropes for the abseiling as well, Dermot.
Exactly, I agree with that as well. Yeah, I know what the extra ropes will be for, but that's another thing, right? So you got to look at it. You got to look at it positively for where we were last summer to this summer. We've made such strides as a club from where we were with Nuno, from getting Conte in. And I say it before, and I say it again. That game against Man United, where the fans turned, I wonder, did that have had a bigger impact on Tottenham as a club than anybody realises? And next season is going to be great. We're going to be challenging. We're going to be competing. And I agree with Philip Brady. When did we last say that we can compete with Liverpool, Man City? Not in a
and
long,
also
long
so
time.
quickly, and also after only a year, Dermot, right? Because you were, you know, I mean, as you had to do, Dermot, you know, you didn't want to do this. You know, some people are, you know, saying, Dermot, why did you have to remind me of last summer? You know, you had to do it, you know, just to prove your point. And, you know, just a year later, you know, look at where we are now, where, you know, we're challenging Liverpool and Man City, you know, like you just said. And I think that is just, it's a miracle in itself. But I just want to, you know, say, Dermot, a huge point that I've mentioned to Dave today is what I do like about Paratici is that not only is he, you know, kind of cooking, you know, kind of the transfers at this stage, but he also cooks the media, you know, as well, where, you know, we're having, you know, links left and right, you know, we have all these, you know, shadow transfers and, you know, kind of smoke screens, you know, happening from Paratici. He also apparently cooks the books, you know, he was going to be thrown in jail, you know, over in Italy. I mean, there's nothing the guy can't cook. Is probably what I would say to you. You know, actually,
it's a Tottenham version of Gordon Ramsay. That's how I describe Paratici.
Throw anything in front of him, he'll cook it.
Yeah, you know, he shouts and swears, "I'll get this done, I'll get that done." I mean, he's worked wonders for our club.
And then Dermot also, Philip was saying, you know, we were talking about the workaholic aspect, you know, he was saying he practically falls asleep, you know, with the phone in his hand, you know, sometimes. He hasn't even taken a day off yet, Dermot. And I asked Philip where, you know, it feels like all these sort of workaholic references, you know, always on the phone, you know, sort of thing. We never said this about Hitchin.
No, and if you watch that All or Nothing Juventus, you see how hard that man works. And that man does work. Hitchin didn't have a bloody clue. It was like he didn't have a Scooby of what to do. And I think we've got to put everything into perspective to where, as I said, where we were last summer to now. And I think we have to, you're not going to please everyone. You're not going to change everyone's mind. But you've got to look at it sensibly, and you've got to look at it a bit of the outside looking in to where we are. Take a step back and think, look, this is where we were to where we are now and where we're heading. I think we just need to see where it goes. And if by January there is no big signings, you're right, Dave. You can then have your say, but the window's only 2 weeks open.
Just, you know, a week or two before the end of the window. But like the thing is, with these big signings, I mean, look, very, very rarely do they happen as quick as Man City got Haaland in. Very, very rarely do they happen that quick. These big deals, they usually take time. Paul Pogba, I mean, has been out of United for a whole season. He hasn't got a club yet. But you know why? No. Because these big deals take time to do. That's why we haven't got a big guy in the door just yet. It's a week and a half in. Look, I keep saying this. I get the frustrations when it comes to Daniel Levy and the board and trophies.
Pardon me.
At some stage, we have to find somewhere to leave that in the past if things keep going the way they're going.
Yeah. Can I just wait and see? Dave, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you over. I apologise. Can I just leave an example? You look at Manchester United, 26 years they never won the league. And Alex Ferguson came in 86, had his troubles, didn't very good. Suddenly it clicked. And this is what could happen to us. It can suddenly just click. And I think that I use that as an example. Because it's a very big example, because he could have lost his job, but it clicked. And they're on their owners' back for years. The Edwards family. So it will click, and it will turn around, and it will happen. So we just got to be patient and trust the process.
But look, I think we all agree we would love to see a statement signing in here. Dermot, for you, what would that statement signing be? Because look, one thing I do agree with Amir, although Perisic, very, very fine player, big name, but on a free. And Basuma, very, very clever signing, but we used the advantage that he had 1 year left on his contract to get him at a reduced price. Fraser Forrester, again, on a free transfer. But at the end of the day, a very, very good, adequate goalkeeper. So we have gotten good players, but we do have money to spend. And at some stage, in order to get your first choice, you're going to have to absolutely make it rain, you know? So who do you want to make it rain on? If you walked into a strict club and you had Bastoni, Skriniar, or, I don't know, someone else there on the pole, who would you go up and make it rain for, Dermot?
I've been saying this for a while. I'll go for Bremer. I really would. I just think we did this last night. Izan, he's a genius, by the way. I always call them Jack's Paddy on. I think Bremer, for me, is the big signing we need. I would love Bastoni. Don't get me wrong. I would love the pair of them, but I don't think that would happen. If I had to pick one, it'd be Bremer for me. If they got Bremer in, that will be, we're going places.
I think because Izan, highlighted, right? He's so aggressive, Dermot, and he's almost so similar to a Romero. He has that old school defending, and we saw how Romero came into the Premier League and almost looked like he was born to play in the Premier League, kind of Romero. And I feel like maybe Bremer has sort of similar vibe to him with, how aggressive he is, how strong he is, how big he is, sort of like born to play in the Premier League. Sort of.
I think some German player, Bremer's German, isn't he? I got that right.
I think he's Brazilian, actually. He's Brazilian.
I feel it's like they're playing in the Bundesliga. I feel they're more equipped to play in the Premier League once you're playing in the Bundesliga.
Bremer's,
Bremer, sorry. Sorry. But I think he'd be more suited to us than a Bastoni. I think he's a bit like Romero.
Sorry to cut across your Dermot, but another update on the latest of the Christian Eriksen saga. According to Jamie Jackson of The Guardian, Christian Eriksen wants to either remain at Brentford or return to Tottenham after rejecting Manchester United. So that is now the latest on the Christian Eriksen saga. I'll be honest with you. I've heard so many different stories over the last 72 hours. I would take it with a bit of a pinch of salt because it sounds something very similar to what was released on Saturday by The Athletic. James Pitbrook and Charlie Eccleshare, where they were saying that he was set to reject Manchester United and, his preference was to remain in London. So is something very similar to that. I just wonder, is he like 4 days slower than everybody else? Or is that the actual word going around? But that is the latest on the Christian Eriksen as it stands. Jack, I'm just going to run to get my charger just in case it develops a bit more. I'll be back in 1 second.
Did you see this coming, Dermot? Did you see him rejecting Man United, or did you actually have a bit of a fear that maybe he was going to head to Man United?
I thought he would have gone to Man United, to be blatantly honest with you. I thought that's where he was heading. I'm not surprised he's rejected them because they're in a complete state anyway. Would he come back to us? Yeah, I said it last night, and I've been quite strong in this. I don't really would like him to come back because I think for the way he left and what happened. But you can, for his ability, for coming on for the last 25 minutes to change the game, I think that'd be great for us. I think personally he'd stay at Brentford. I think he owes Brentford something. Brentford were the ones that brought him back to the Premier League. And
is it a wages thing for him, or do you think it's because between Brentford and I don't even know if it's a wages thing, right? Because it's probably with Brentford, he's going to get more playing time, potentially, maybe more games. Doesn't have to play nearly as often, or at least the games are not as often. Maybe is what I'm trying to say. The games are not as often. It's a very if he's deciding between Brentford and Spurs, those are just two very different destinations. And he'll be playing two very different roles. Where with Brentford, he's going to be kind of the main man, in that midfield. At least on the creative sense, he'll be the main man. Whereas with Spurs, he plays a bit of a tertiary kind of like creative midfield role, which is different vibe.
I don't think it's about money. I think it's more about where he's going to get more, where he is happy, and where he's going to get more games. And I think he'll get that at Brentford. But maybe Champions League. Conte, who we did play under at Inter Milan, that's why. But did they get on at Inter Milan? There was rumours that him and Eriksen didn't get on. Do you know what I mean? We have to wait and see. If he comes back, I'll support him because he's a Spurs legend for under Poch, and he's done brilliant for us.
Yeah.
If he stays at Brentford, then I applaud him, man, because for what he's gone through. You know, I think it's fantastic to see him even back playing.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to wait and see. But I think he was always going to reject Man United in the end because they were just an old people's home, as Philip says up there.
100%. But look, Dermot, I will let you plug your channel, and then once we let you go, I have an update on Brian Gil-Messi's future as well. So, Dermot, I mean, you made your comeback yesterday. A very good comeback it was. Of course, Jack was on there, Isan as well. You know, a very good show, good return. What can people expect coming up on your channel, brother?
Next Sunday, we're doing the Keith Birkinshaw special. We're going to do the whole history of Keith Birkinshaw, for who he played for as a player. He made one appearance for Liverpool. He went to Liverpool Academy for management, and of course, the glory years with us at Tottenham. And it's also his birthday on the 23rd of June. He'll be 86 in a few days' time. So we're doing that. And then the following Sunday, we're doing a review of the 72-73 season. So we're going to show a match and go through the whole season. So that's what we've got coming up next few weeks. And I want to thank everyone who tuned in last night, the kind words, and Jack as well for coming on, Dave for being in the chat. It really meant a lot. And it's lovely to be back. And I love talking about Spurs and Spurs history. So, yeah, so plenty more good things coming.
Nah, definitely is. Everybody, it was great to see you back, Dermot, my man. It really was. And everybody, get over and smash the subscribe on Tottenham Gold. Dermot,
we are trying to get to 500 before the start of the new season. We're only 65 subs away from 500. So if we can get to 500, I'd be really over the moon with that, and we can kick on to 1,000 from there.
Yeah, that would be absolutely awesome. Guys, let's see what we can get done there today. Get over there, smash the subscribe on Tottenham Gold. But look, Dermot, thank you very much for your time this evening, my man. Really appreciate you coming on, and we had a good conversation, brother.
Yeah, thank you. And I've made an ass of myself by saying that Bremer plays in the Bundesliga when he's played in Serie A, and he's not German, he's Brazilian. So
just give Isan a listen. Just give Isan, let Isan, just give him a deeper listen, my man. He knows everything. Just have Isan in your ear. Just have Isan, in your ear.
Anything about the past and grammars, anything bar 2008, that I'm gone. Completely.
Love you, brother.
There's a reason why you've got grey hair, Dermot. Stick to the history, my man. Stick to the history.
yeah. Don't grey hair. Yeah, there is a reason. Of course, supporting Tottenham, but who cares? We all love the club. Plus, everyone, please like, subscribe, and get your membership. Let's get Dave to 700,000 before the start of the new season. Let's get them. These lads deserve it.
Too kind. But Dermot, we'll see you again soon, my man.
God bless you all. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Absolutely love that. Everybody, please do get over to Tottenham Gold and smash that subscribe button. Show the guy a hell of a lot of support. Now, we have 2 super chats to get to, one from the bottom Duta. But just before we do, it is being put out there in the last few minutes that Olympique Marseille are interested in taking Brian Gil-Messi on a season-long loan. Look, just quick thoughts on it. I haven't done too much digging into it. For me, keep him well away from that French league. I do not want him going on loan there. I'd much rather him go to Bundesliga, back to La Liga, maybe somewhere in the Premiership if we can get him, but keep him away from that French league. I absolutely hate it. Jack, any quick thoughts on it? You're passionate about me maybe keeping him away from the French league, or?
I normally would agree with what you're saying, Dave, but like Sampaoli, that Argentinian guy has had a really good season over there, and he's actually kind of known for kind of, developing, sort of younger players. Like he's that really passionate, small, kind of bald Argentinian guy. If you've seen him before, Dave, he used to be the manager at Sevilla, back in the day. So I kind of like, I kind of like Sampaoli. So to see maybe Brian Gil-Messi, if he were to play week in, week out for that guy, I could see it working out. I mean, I know we don't like to talk about Gooners doing well, Dave, but Saliba, had one of the best seasons of any center back, in Europe over with Sampaoli. Guendouzi, has done well before. I think even Marseille, Dave, I think they were like really high up in the table for the first time in a long time, under Sampaoli. So I would say, Dave, while I would agree with you about Liga, that wouldn't be my preferred destination for Brian Hill. But Dave, if you were to pick any Liga club for him to go to, Marseille might be the best. Marseille might be the best of the choices for him to go to.
Yeah, look, maybe
Rennes, or like a.
I object. I just object on
I
the
don't
French
know.
league.
If I were to be optimistic, Dave, that would be being optimistic, because Marseille is not a bad choice in terms of coaches and whatnot.
Maybe. But look, that is the latest on Brian Gil-Messi. The bottom duty says step 1, get their deadwood out and improve the mediocre players. Completed step 2, build a squad by bringing in good players ongoing. Step 3, sign 1 or 2 big names like a Liverpool, maybe a bit futuristic. Look, first one, I completely agree with you, but unfortunately, the likes of Ndombele, Winks, I mean, it's just not going to be as easy as putting them on the transfer list. I mean, look, even people that play FIFA Football Manager, you can put certain players on the transfer list all you want, and it's the same in real life. It does not mean anybody that is interested in the guy, and at the end of the day, we have to try and generate some interest. With Winks, we might have to do with what we kind of done with Dele Alli, and with Ndombele, we probably will have to do what we done with Aurier. But look, at the end of the day, I mean, it's a lot harder to get rid of some of this deadwood than maybe as easy as it sounds. But I agree with you. But there's still a lot more to go. Lo Celso, there's still more players to go out the door, my man. Step 2, building the squad by bringing in good players. I think, look, we're starting to build the nucleus of that by bringing in a Perisic, Fraser Forrester, and Basuma. And then step 3, I agree. Look, I would love the big name signings. I would love maybe one up front if you could get it, like a Richarlison, but definitely a Bastoni or a Skriniar or a Pau Torres or a Bremer, for the backline. I think I keep saying this, for me, it's where I would love to improve most. Dyer has his flaws. I get it. And people are going to say, but Dave, Dyer had a good season. I get it. But does that mean we can't bring in competition to make him have an even better season next season? No, it doesn't. At the end of the day, that's Dyer's probably first good consecutive solid season he's probably had in a Spurs jersey since arriving in 8 years, in my opinion. And look, as good as a season as he had, we have to stop this nostalgia stuff. At the end of the day, Eric Dyer will benefit from competition. Tottenham would benefit from competition in the squad, and also the fans would benefit from it, because hopefully it means that we can get through these early round of cup games and go longer in all these sort of cups and compete with each other. It's the same as Ben Davies. I would like another attacking option in the midfield to compete there. At the end of the day, we want to be a big squad. All the fans are saying act like a big club. Well, then if we want the club to act like a big club, we have to expect a big squad with quality in every single position right throughout it. And I like the bottom duty's plan, Jacko.
I really like his plan. But the one thing I might say is that now that we do have that bit of cash, now that we don't really rely on the old tactics of, having to sell before we buy, perhaps step 1 doesn't need to be step 1. And maybe it's more of a step 2, step 1, step 3. That's what I would say to you, to bottom dude. I might just put step 2 first, then step 1, then step 3, because with this 150 million injection, with the way that we've already been operating, it kind of seems like, yes, we want to sell players because, of course, that gives us extra cash, that gives us more of an incentive to get in more players. It seems like we don't want to be just tied down to, having to sell players in order to be able to fund other transfers. So that's what I would say to you, to bottom dude. I completely agree with everything about that, my man. Perhaps, though, just because we got that extra money, maybe put step 2 ahead of step 1.
Big up the bottom duty. Really do appreciate the support, my man. Absolutely spot on with the steps there. Maybe
Really
Paratici can get in contact with you. Tyler D says, am I the only spud who doesn't want Eriksen back? First of all, we're Spurs, not spuds, my man. Do you know why I hate that? Is because I had 2 United fans when I was younger used to call us.
That's what everyone else says, yeah. Oh,
they used to call us the spuds, and it used to absolutely fuck me off. In fact, I wanted to build them like a spud, to be honest with you. But look, I mean, Christian Eriksen is 50-50, and I'll be honest with you, Tyler, he's one that I've actually had to change my mind on. Look, I was like everybody else, the way he left the club. Look, he down tools. He didn't give it his all in the Spurs jersey. And he pissed me off, quite frankly. He pissed me off. But since his cardiac arrest, like, life hasn't gone maybe the way he probably envisioned it leaving Tottenham. Then he had his cardiac arrest. He found himself at Brentford, and we find ourselves in an opportunity to get the guy back on a free transfer. And for me, because he won't be the main guy, and it just means that, again, it's a player we can get in without having to use too much money out of the budget. And then it just frees you up to improve. It means it guarantees you'll get 2 centre-backs, a right wing-back, and a striker still all to come in the door. So for me, I think on that terms, it would be a no-brainer rather than having to thrash out maybe 50 million on Paqueta, 78 million on whatever that idiot Madison's going to cost, and I'd much rather bring in an Eriksen on a much cheaper budget than splashing the money on one of them, because for me, I think defense is the biggest area of improvement.
Yeah.
So
big up, Tyler. I think everybody's flipped back and forth on the issue, my man. So don't worry. I think, you can find plenty of people who don't want him. Don't you worry, Tyler. Don't you worry. Big up, my man.
You're definitely not on your own, though, for sure, my man. Definitely not on your own. And big up, Graham.
Just want to say hello to Graham as well. Big up, brother. Good to see you.
Big up, my man. Big up. But look, I think we'll keep this going, Jack. I think we'll keep this cruising. We're in cruise control right now. I'm having fun. You're having fun. So let's keep it going. We'll bring on Michael, and then I think we have a Manscaped plug to do, and then we'll start getting on the last few guests of the evening. So look, let's get them on. Michael, Michael, it's pronounced Mihal in Irish. How are you keeping, Mihal?
Yeah, it's exactly the same pronunciation in Polish, but the L with a dash is read same way as W is in English, right? Word watch, for example, right? The first sound is the L with a dash in Polish. So it's really similar to what you said, but I just thought that I will
No, I never knew that. I never knew that. That's mad. I over in Ireland, there's a lot of Polish people, and I speak, I have Polish friends and stuff like that, and I speak them in the language I cannot read and cannot get to grips with. So it's mad that it's the same. But look, Michael, I mean, what do you want to talk about when it comes to Spurs? What has piqued your interest this week?
I would like to start with the Eriksen stuff that recently came out. And, Tyler, the one from the Super Chat, you are not the only one who isn't really fond of Eriksen. And I've said it already on this show, and I will repeat it. It's not because I have something against Eriksen in particular, right? But my feeling on the matter is that... because I'm a bit conflicted on it, because on one hand, I feel like there is something new starting in our club, right? And honestly, with the players that really didn't want to be a part of the project in past years, I wouldn't want to go back to them. I just want us to change everything about the club, change the mentality, change the way we approach transfers. And I want us to, as I said, start something new. And then I'm conflicted because, I would love us to splash the cash in defense and attack. And I don't think that midfield is really a place where we should do a big marquee signing, even though I would love to welcome a high quality player. And Eriksen is a really nice, convenient solution to that problem, right? Because we know that he is quality, and we know that he is way cheaper than someone like Madison, right? So as for Eriksen specifically, as I said, I have nothing against him as a person. I love him as a player. He broke my heart when he left, but that's the way it was, right? I don't hold a gripe against him, but I would just enjoy if it was someone else. And so
do you know what?
Go on, David.
Guy John Stokes, he sent in he was saying that on the evening headlines we done, Michael. He was saying something similar, that he doesn't want any of that. He just wants to completely, like you were saying, a new culture and everything else, and just forget about the past, etc., etc., etc. So look, there's a lot of conflicting reports on this guy, so it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens there. But what do you think of Inter Milan CEO's comments today? Basically, thrashing
Bastoni pose.
Yeah, they're completely condemning the Lautaro Martinez deal. That's not happening. They will not be budging on that. But the fact that, selling a centre-back is something that they will be open to, because it's harder to replace a striker. So First of all, are you gutted that Lautaro Martinez deal is more or less dead? And second of all, what's the chances of us getting Skriniar, who we're interested with under Steve Hitchen, or twisting our arm up the back, you know, and taking Bastoni?
So, you know, just one thing on Eriksen too. I'm really not fond of players coming back to a team that they already left, and I feel like there is plenty of examples that this can like really backfire. Like Pogba is the major one in United.
Yeah.
And you know, there is plenty of players that, you know, leave a team then come back after a few years. I would even argue that Ronaldo's comeback wasn't really that
Griezmann.
great, as great as people wanted to. Griezmann is one too, right? So you know, it's risky for me to bring a player back that has already left, and especially if he left on, you know, not exactly the best terms with the team. But you know, okay. And speaking of Inter, I you know, I have a weird feeling that Paratici is doing a lot of like shady work around Inter to try to rile them up, because you know, because basically we went in for Bastoni, right? And they were like, maybe we'll sell him, maybe we'll not. You know, we'll see. You have to like splash the cash, and then Bastoni says, I don't want to leave. But you know, I have a feeling that him saying that was basically that, you know, that established.
Do you think he annoyed them with the Lautaro bid? Do you think that's what happened?
Yeah,
Maybe he threw in like a bid that he knew they would refuse, but he made it, like always, like we said just earlier, he cooks the media, right, as well. So maybe he told the media, oh yeah, Spurs, you know, we threw in a bid for Lautaro, but it got rejected.
Because you know, they said, right, Bastoni is off. We'll probably have to sell someone big. Then Paratici went, okay, Lautaro, 90 million, it is, right? You selling or not? And they went like, fuck, we aren't sure that we want to sell Lautaro, right? And then they went back and said, oh, maybe we'll have to sell a defender. And then they set a really high price for Skriniar. I think it's something like 80 million they want, or 75 or something. And PSG annoyingly isn't willing to pay that, right? And you know, what he also did is, as soon as we got to know that Bastoni deal might be off, we were immediately in for Bremer. So you know, you don't want to sell us this player, so we will buy the player that you want to get in.
He's just poking.
And you know, I just feel like he's like he's poking them with a stick, waiting for a reaction. And I as soon as like all the Bastoni stuff came out, I said that I think that the deal isn't over yet, just because, you know, they can say whatever they want, but they have to make the cash, right? And they have pretty much 4 players that they can sell for really high money. It's Lautaro, Barella, Bastoni, and Skriniar, right? And they have to sell one of them, because like they can sell 5 other players instead of one of those players, because they will just destroy their squad, right? So I believe that they don't want to sell Lautaro, and they aren't fond of selling Barella, because there was no links about Barella leaving anywhere, right? So pretty much for me, it's either Skriniar or Bastoni, and they have a problem because both of those guys want to they want to be Inter legends, right? So you know, there is really no easy solution for them, and I feel like if Bastoni is really off, we should go for Skriniar, because I still believe that this guy has a lot of quality. He's like a tall, strong, big center back that, you know, could maybe necessarily he isn't made for the left center back position, but he would certainly be a massive upgrade on Dyer in the center. So yeah, I really appreciate Skriniar's quality, and yeah, I would be buzzing if we actually landed him.
We've been linked with him a long time ago in the past,
yeah,
you know, Michael.
Yeah, 1 year ago,
were you really hoping for him in the past, and were you kind of let down that we didn't get him in the past?
You know, the thing was that when we were linked with him, I wasn't really following transfers that much, because, you know, basically I started like getting into transfer following this year. So you know, I wasn't really aware of our interest in him. I just
that's a good answer. Then you weren't let down.
Right?
You know, you weren't. You know, you weren't betrayed. You know, like some of us were. You know, one day I had a Bruno Guimaraes, you know, rumor. You know, with Spurs, I got, you know, stabbed in the heart there. So you know, it's happened to the best of us. But I feel like, if I'm going to be honest, it's so hard to predict, because with PSG, they are a team that could throw 70 million at a Skriniar. But my thinking is that would Inter Milan, is that all they need? Is it 70 million? That's all they need, and then they're done, and they can sign Dybala, Lukaku, all these other players that they're trying to bring in. It seems like they're going to need more money than 70 million, at least in my eyes. I think they're going to need more
You
money.
know, the thing is, apparently, from what I heard, of course, Dybala is a free transfer, right? And I feel
But
like
he's
they
like,
are
you know, going to come
loaning,
with like 15 million a year wages or like something like
yeah,
that. Like he's
and they are
something absurd.
loaning Lukaku out of Chelsea. As far as I
Yeah.
know, it's supposed to be like 2-year loan with an option to buy or something ridiculous like that. So I feel like they are trying, like, you know, balance the book to the maximum.
They're
And
cooking
you
the
know,
books.
yeah, they're basically cooking the books. But you know, the thing about Skriniar too is I feel like we can bring Skriniar in and still provide a massive upgrade on left center back for not as much money as Bastoni would require us to pay. Because
Who do
I
you
feel
think
like
that
there is.
upgrade
Excuse me, David. Sorry.
Who do you think that upgrade would be, Michael?
Yeah, I still feel there is a deal to be done with Pau Torres. I know that people have reservations about him, but I personally believe that that we can make it done. The thing is whether he wants to join us or not, because there is you know, that thing about him willing to join United, but those talks have died down recently. Like there wasn't much talk about Pau Torres going to United, and I feel like I was really impressed with Ndika when I was watching Frankfurt play. I was mainly focusing on Kostic, but Ndika really impressed me too.
Yeah,
so
me
I
too.
feel, and he wouldn't be as expensive as Guardiola or Bastoni would be, right? So, you know, and then again, we could probably maybe hijack the Botman deal to Newcastle. Like, I feel like we have a bigger pool than
Botman
Newcastle,
and
right?
Ndika. Botman and Ndika could be an interesting sort of shout. You know,
Yes.
you get your Dyer competition and you get your Ben Davies,
Davies
you know,
competition,
competition probably for the same price as Bastoni.
As
I know
Bastoni,
that's not, but then again, that's not the statement signing though. So that's, you know, that's weird. You know, that's a different way to go on about it. Dave, what would you think of that? Botman and Ndika? You know?
Look, I'll be impressed with Botman. Look, Botman's a player I actually really like. I think he's more of a central defender than a left-sided centre back.
Yeah, he's absolutely massive too, right? He's like 6'5" or something like this.
They're both 6'5". They're like both 6'5".
Yeah, and Ndika is high. Yeah, right. I forgot.
Huge.
Ndika is huge too, right?
Botman's an animal.
Yeah, are both quality players. Yeah, as you said, it's not like that statement signing that we all crave, right? But from footballing perspective, I would be impressed if we got those two over the line. And I feel like, you know, because it seems like we will do at least one statement signing, wherever it will be. I have a feeling that there will be one, like, you know, big high fee signing like Richarlison, or, you know, or a defender, or a midfielder even, right? And, you know, if we did our business like this in the defense, I would expect us to make like a big signing in the front. And there is plenty of players I would appreciate coming to Spurs. And as I said, the thing I would love the most is if that player could fill more than one role in the front three. So that's why I'm really fond of Richarlison. I just, you know, he's a bit of a dickhead, not gonna lie, but I feel like we need that a bit of that spice in the team, and he provides like backup and competition to both Sonny and Kane, and could probably play on the right. Because I feel like Lucas will stay probably. I don't know what you guys feel about it. But if we had a front five of Richarlison, Son, Kane, Kulu, and Lucas, my God, that's really an impressive front five.
Perisic can also play up there as well. I'll be look. I'm not really too pushed on getting rid of Lucas Moura, to be honest with you. Look, I have my I have my thoughts on the guy. I don't think he offers us what we need, but in terms of playing cup games and stuff like that,
yeah,
he can definitely help us. He's reliable, and plus, if you put in a youngster out there, he can help get them through the game. So I think, look, as we know, Conte likes having solid men, solid professionals around the place, and Lucas fits that mold, unlike a Bergwijn. So I'm not really too pushed on getting Lucas out this window, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, neither am I. I would love to keep the guy for at least a year more, because we don't have to do all the business this window, right? There will always be like some unsatisfaction left after the window, right? Because in reality, if we really wanted to bring that squad to like top class level, to like top 1, top 2 team in the world, we would probably need like 10 to 12 signings, improving first 11 and providing quality backups, and that's not going to happen in this window. That's impossible to do in one window, right? So I would be satisfied if Lucas was left in the team and we could upgrade on him like in a year, in 2 years maybe. That I wouldn't mind. And speaking of solid guys, David, I was so pissed off with the Højbjerg talk. Like I'm a big admirer of the guy, and I can understand that people see flaws in his playstyle. People see flaws in his game. But what I really love about him is the mentality and like the workhorse attitude that he has. And no team in the world that consists only of stars will achieve great success, and I feel like PSG is the best example of that. And one would say that look at Man City, but I feel like what Man City has is they have a lot of players that are of star quality, but they also work their ass off. I feel like Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, those guys are of top quality, but they also like provide a lot of work, a lot of passion, a lot of that winning mentality. And when I look at PSG and I see like guys like Neymar, I'm not really fond of Neymar. I appreciate his skill, but I'm not really fond of his attitude, right? And it's just like a definition of failure for me. And what Højbjerg gives our team, in my opinion, is that solidity. When something doesn't work, let's imagine a situation, touch wood, that for example Bissouma doesn't work, right? We still have Højbjerg, that we know what we can get from him. We know that he will die for the shirt. We know that he will run 95 minutes, and he will put in his heart and soul into the game. So I feel like he's essential to a well working team, right?
Absolutely.
I'm really
every
not
team
fond
has a
of any
Højbjerg.
transfer
Every team
talk.
has a Højbjerg.
Yeah, every
like
team
Davis
has a
said.
Højbjerg, right?
Yeah, and
so,
I think Dave has
I love the
emphasized
guy.
that in the past. And I, to be honest, like I said before, it's just a bit insulting to the guy that his rumor of leaving is in the same sentence as Winks. Just a bit insulting to him. But Michael, absolute pleasure speaking to you, my man. Honestly,
pleasure too, guys. Sorry, I went off a rant again.
No.
And,
you used your time, my man. Honestly, you had, and everybody. I think like at least 5 or 6 comments. They absolutely loved what you had to say, Michael.
I love you too, guys.
No need to apologize, my man. No need to apologize. They loved what you had to say, brother. Absolutely.
There's more of these comments as you go up, Michael. A lot of people absolutely.
I would say go back into the comments and check it out, my man. Go back into the comments,
Brilliant.
check it out. The Harris Army has a lot of love for you.
Absolute brilliant guess. Have you anything to plug? Have you your own channel or anything like that, Michael?
No, I don't. I'm just a casual rambler that's melting in front of the PC because it's scorching hot in Poland. So Jesus Christ! Like yesterday was like 33 degrees or 34 degrees. I think it's like 90 degree Fahrenheit. That's mad because I had an exam session. It's coming
no
to
air
an
conditioner,
end.
I bet either, right?
Yeah, I just have this little guy.
Oh, that's not air conditioning.
That's not air conditioning. So he provides a bit of refreshment.
But look, Michael, I mean, hopefully we'll see you around here again soon, my man. And big up, brilliant appearance, my man. Great chatting to you, and hopefully we get to see you again soon, brother.
Yeah, guys, if you ever needed someone to talk on the podcast, I'm open. Just invite me and I will, fill the 2 hours that you need.
No, look, believe me, we've got a lot of plans. Like, look, at the end of the day, we're trying to get more and more Spurs fans involved, trying to give more and more Spurs fans a voice. So we have plenty of ways that I'm working on in the background to be able to do that. So look, we'll be in contact soon, Michael. Don't you worry. Yeah. We've got you on our list.
Brother.
Yeah, love your channel, guys. Yeah, thanks
for
the work that you do.
I appreciate it,
guys.
Thank you, my man. Everybody, give Michael a hell of a lot of love in the comments.
Show him the love. Show him the love he deserves.
People absolutely loving him here. I love to see it. But look, we've a couple of super chats to get to, then plug Manscaped, and then we've got 4 guests to get through, and then we will end it off there. Faz Radfar says, let's get a double win against Chelsea this season. But Fazzy, what I will say is we're playing them second game of the season away, which I'll be honest with you, I have a sneaky suspicion, you know. Look, they have a lot of work to do this summer. They're losing Big Rom. Some would argue maybe not much of a loss. He didn't even want to be there in the first place. But Rudiger, Alonso, Azpilicueta, Thiago Silva's another year older. That back line is starting to deteriorate and be ripped apart. And with the talent we've got with Kane, Son, Kulusevski, hopefully maybe bring in one more, the options we have in midfield, we should actually well be able to compete with Chelsea, which, if we're being honest, we haven't done it since Christian Eriksen rocked up that time. You know, and for me, Jack, I think I just have a sneaky suspicion. I think we'll compete with them. You know, I think we have more than enough quality to play our football and create chances, which, unlike we were able to do last January, I think we've come on leaps and bounds since then. And I don't think Chelsea will think it's as easy. Look, at home, I'm not as fearful. I think at home, I think we can beat anybody on our day. But it's the hoodoo away I want to rectify, and I think it could be done this time round fast. But big up, my man. Really do appreciate the support, brother. Kafkoff Gaming says Eriksen is a defensive liability and an ego. He is not needed. Do you know what, Kafkoff Gaming? I agree with what you... actually, no. I don't agree with what you have to say, but I can understand what you're saying in terms of ego. Look, as for defensive, I'll take the first part, and then I'm actually going to get a drink because I have the hiccups. But Eriksen is a defensive liability. I get it. He is. But it's not what he's renowned for. But we have other options available to do that. Bentancur likes to be a holding midfielder. Not only can he get stuck in, but he can play on the ball. Højbjerg, Ollie Skip, Basuma, he can also go around and win you the ball. With Eriksen, it's just to have that option that if you need to off the bench against a Brighton or a Brentford, to have that player that plays between the opposition's midfield and their back line that picks up them pockets of space that can get turned and feed players. We could not do that last season. We got caught. So it's just nice to maybe have that option. Jack, anything you want to say on his ego?
I don't really know in the case of the ego, Dave, if I'm going to be honest. I feel like Eriksen has always been a humble guy. Maybe he had a bit of an ego when it comes to like maybe perhaps leaving Spurs. Like people think he wanted that new challenge. Maybe he thought he was better than Spurs. I don't really know, Dave. I'm not as beat up by it as the rest of us. But if you ask me, I feel like Eriksen is not really that sort of player that you can paint that brush with. I feel like that's being really harsh, you know, to say he has an ego. I could see how maybe his sort of mentality might be different than other players, like maybe what John was bringing up earlier, Dave, how certain players maybe want to like come in with a fresh mindset, fresh start, you know, kind of hungry. Maybe Eriksen isn't exactly that sort of mold. Maybe he is, but maybe you could make the case he isn't. I just feel like that'd be harsh to say whether Eriksen has an ego or anything, if you ask me. At least the wrong sense of an ego. You could have the good kind of ego, but I would say definitely not the wrong kind.
Kafkoff, let us know. Maybe expand in the comments on your point, my man. Let us know where you're coming from. But big up, brother. And then Tottenham Go, big up Dermot, Dermatron. Really appreciate the support. And he says, our club was built on foundation to entertain managers like Rowe, Nicholson, Birkinshaw took us to the promised land because the dare is to do Tottenham till I die. Come on, you Spurs. Absolutely love that, my man. Absolutely love that. Yeah, look, with Conte, hopefully you would like to think you have some maybe sort of a
hopefully
similar
winning
manager
entertains you, Dermot. Hopefully winning entertains you. I know, you know, with Rowe, Nicholson, and Birkinshaw, you're getting the, you know, the high flying, you know, sort of football, especially, you know, you're getting the one touch, you know, football, and you know, with the pass and move, you know, of course, with Nicholson and whatnot. But you know, I know the entertaining football is certainly what Spurs have gotten used to over the period, but winning football, I guess, in the case of Antonio Conte, you know, is especially what, you know, we have to get used to. And then, to be fair, though, it is entertaining football. We've scored plenty of goals. You know, we've had one of the tightest defenses at the same time. So to say this hasn't been entertaining, exciting football, I don't know what else is out there then, but absolutely spot on, Dermot. Love you, my man.
Yeah. Big up, Dermot. Really, really do appreciate the support, my man. But look, Jack, I think it's time to get into a bit of a Manscaped plug, my man.
We'll start reading the script, everybody. Of course, we were kind of just talking about last time, Father's Day. If you happen to have missed out maybe on the Father's Day sort of celebration to get, the outlet something, everybody, there still is a chance. Of course, maybe even to plug yourself, maybe get yourself something or get something for, still the outlet, maybe a bit of a late gift. But this time, Dave, we plugged everything from the lawnmower, to the to the weed whacker and whatnot, but we've decided to plug something very special, something that I actually wear the moment that I have a fresh pair of laundry, Dave. I actually pull out these because they're my favorite pair of underwear, Dave. We're actually going to be plugging the boxers of Manscaped. This is kind of a bit outside the box here, everybody. And here it is. Sweaty sack summer is approaching, everybody, and it's time for you to prioritize the comfort of your crotch. That's why the kings of crotch comfort, Manscaped, has spent 2 years designing the most comfortable boxer briefs out there. I've had the honor of testing these out myself, everybody. Like I just said, the moment the laundry is done, they're the first one I pick out. Dave, if you ask me, I kind of maybe wish I picked out them like the third day after the laundry because it feels like I never have them because I wear them first, immediately that they are available. They feel like the softest bit of fabric on you. Quite breathable, especially in the summer, Dave. I think Michael was just talking about, 30 odd degrees. This would definitely be the one I would be rocking in the summer. So honestly, Dave, it's time to let the bulge breathe and get 20% off plus free shipping using that flat cap code. And you can get 20% off from the boxers, just from the boxers. If that's all you need, you don't need anything else. Just get the boxers, get that code flat cap and get 20% off. But Dave, anything to maybe say about the boxers? Any sort of stories for yourself there that you feel like are really important that people need to get it for? Because it's just a nice little thing they can grab from the website. It's quite nice.
Yeah, Jack. Conor McGregor nicknamed it Red Panty Night. I nickname it Manscaped Night in my household, Jack. And I mean, as soon as I put them on, the missus knows exactly what's going down, Jack. But look, with the micro model fabric, it's butterly soft and breathable, keeping your cucumber tool walk, run, strut. These moisture wicking boxers breathe without breaking a sweat. The tagless waistband hugs your body without digging in, and it lays flat against your skin to reduce chafing. The front fly opens, easy access, and makes bathroom breaks quick and efficient for those people on the run. You can choose from an arrangement of designs and colors and size ranges from small to 3XL for maybe the larger boys, a bit like me, and I mean larger, and you know what I mean, for all for all the Harris Army out there, really, for all my guys out there. So, guys, this is a call to action. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code FLATCAP at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code FLATCAP at manscaped.com. Once the Boxers 2.0 touch your sack, you will never go back.
There you are, everybody. That's a bit of plug from Manscaped, everybody. Thank you, Manscaped, for plugging this episode of the Irish Hotspur. Last time, everybody, grab those boxers, the best boxers you'll ever own. Get 20% off using that code FLATCAP. Back to the fan show, everybody.
Big up, Manscaped. Thank you very much for the sponsorship. But look, I think we will crack on. We'll keep getting on. And next, we've got a bit of a double. It's Spurs-related tag teaming us this evening. I think
no, just quickly, Dave, just quickly. I think we actually have someone just ahead. He's been waiting very, very patiently.
Yes, my bad.
We have our man down in Florida. We have Dan. How we doing, Dan?
Yes,
very,
big up,
very
Dan.
good. How's it going, guys?
Good to see you, my man. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
I mean, what do you want to talk about today, Dan? This is your time, my man. What do you want to talk about when it comes to Tottenham?
Not much. I mean, this Eriksen thing, I'm not really paying attention to the news right now because, 1 minute you hear he's going to Manchester United, the next minute you hear he's going to stay at Brentford, then he's going to come to Tottenham. I only trust because I only trust we are Tottenham TV tweets and Fabrizio Romano with this kind of stuff. And a lot of people don't like Fabrizio Romano because he's a tap-in merchant. But I think that it's more important to be right than to be first, in my opinion. So I don't have a problem with him. And he's actually tweeted something very interesting recently about Inter actually going in for Skriniar because they're officially going to put another bid for 60 mil. And they're going to try and go in for Bremer. So that's a little bit of negative news for us. I mean, I was not too happy when I saw that. But Eriksen, listen, I feel like it'd be a real it'd be a real cinematic experience if he came home, especially after what happened with
Do you
his
think
health.
Spurs would really milk, the return? Do you think they would make,
Yeah,
a
you
big
remember
experience
they
out of it?
they made a whole 4-minute film when Gareth Bale came back. It'd be even longer if Eriksen came back.
You might be right there, in that case, my man. But with Eriksen, do you feel like does he make sense? Is he the right sort of player? Do you feel like that's the one that you'd be okay with? Would you be like others? Some are kind of up in arms if he were to come back. He's a very divisive player, let's say, to bring back. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's not. It's not. Him fitting in is not a problem. Antonio Conte had him at Inter, so he knows that So we know that he could play the system. He started fitting back into to Conte's system because he fell out in the beginning, and then he started coming back in right at the Euros time, and then the whole Euros thing happened, which is very unfortunate. Yeah, I think Dave has something. Oh,
No, it's just he had a bit of feedback, coming back from his mic, so I just had to just
yeah.
tell him maybe come back and pop back in. But you're just saying about Eriksen, my man.
Yeah, I was listening to Weird Tottenham TV actually, and they were talking correctly about how he used to play on the right a lot when we used to play with three at the back. There was a Chelsea game that he played on the right, and he played very, very well. And he could also play when we play with three in the middle. So it's something that could work. It's something that could really work. For him fitting in is not a concern for me. But a lot of people know me as the James Ward-Prowse guy, and I really like James Ward-Prowse. If I could pick between the two, I'd pick James Ward-Prowse.
Interesting. And my feeling with James Ward-Prowse is that the big feeling is that we're getting him because of the free kicks. Do you think that's not the case? Is that being harsh with him by saying
He's
that? Do you
fifth.
think
He's
he's
fifth in
better
the
than
Premier
just free
League.
kicks?
He's fifth in the Premier League for winning the ball back, and people call him a free kick merchant.
Wow, there you go. Love that. Love that. I mean, where do you think that comes from? The free kick merchant, sort of.
Because he's really good with free kicks. I mean, it's not a bad thing to be good at free kicks. I mean,
Yeah, it's
especially
not a
something
bad
that
brush even to be painted with, to be fair.
yeah, it's not a bad brush at all, and I think he's a really good player, even if you take away his free kicks. I think it's unfair people not liking him because of his price. He doesn't choose his price again, and people don't rate him because of his price. I've never understood that. I feel nowadays you have to pay for the players that you want. Look at Nunez with Liverpool. That man is not worth 80 million. But Liverpool paid 80 million because they wanted that player. If we want James Ward-Prowse, the money should not be a problem.
I feel like with James Ward-Prowse, my feeling is that maybe you're probably right. Probably calling him a free kick merchant is maybe being a bit too harsh, on the guy. But now that we brought in a player like Basuma, do you feel like James Ward-Prowse, it's harder for him to maybe find a spot in the sort of team, with someone like Basuma coming in? Or does he play like a different kind of role to like someone like Basuma? Is he a very different player in your eyes?
Yeah, he's a very different player to Basuma. If he play, it'd be a question. Before we signed Basuma, I was 100% sure.
Yeah, that's what that was my
that.
feeling was before we had signed Basuma, I would have absolutely taken, a James Ward-Prowse. But now that we have signed Basuma, I kind of, don't really know if I want James Ward-Prowse. But
This is
if
a
you
good
really
problem
like
to
him,
have, though.
convince me. Yeah,
This is
it
a
is
good problem to have.
Yeah.
Man.
Definitely. What are your thoughts on, the Bastoni boost, my man? The facts that, Inter Milan are, more willing to sell a center back than a striker. What does that give you? Does that give you a bit of hope with Bastoni? Have you just given up and, you feel like we're going to have to move on? What are your thoughts on that situation?
Well, I'm not too confident at the moment with Bastoni. I think he's an Inter Milan fan. He'll want to stay at the club. I feel at first I was confident he wants to play with Conte, but then I mean, it's. I think they're saying that because they're gonna sell one center back at most. I think, and I think Skriniar is going to PSG with what Fabrizio Romano just tweeted. So I think Bastoni's not gonna happen. I would really like Bremer, which apparently PSG are going for as well.
I think actually no, it's I think they're going for Skriniar, and then by them going for Skriniar, Bremer is then going to Inter Milan. So they're using the Skriniar transfer to fund their move for Bremer to go to their club, to Inter Milan.
Yeah, I'm just reading it again, and you're right. Yeah, that's exactly what it says. Yeah.
So what do you make of that, though? Does that mean then that kind of just puts cold water then on the Bastoni situation for you? Because it's really more Skriniar leaving, maybe Inter Milan than actually Bastoni leaving
To
Inter
be
Milan.
honest, I don't think this financial situation that Inter Milan are going through right now is as bad as everybody's making it seem.
Hmm.
There's no way that every single time a player comes in for a player that's in from Inter Milan, they could just say, "I'm an Inter Milan fan now. I want to stay. I want to be at this club for the next 45 years." It's a joke. It's getting to the point where it's getting obnoxious, and I think the media, they started doing it for clicks, and I don't think Inter Milan have as bad as a financial problem as everybody made it out to be.
I think it's that they just do have a financial problem. It more has to do with the owners. Is that the owners just don't? They have a lot of debt, tied to the club with how they've, taken control of the club. I believe so. They have to be able to, sell in order to be able to fund some of the transfers they want to bring in. And to be fair, some of the transfers they are bringing in, like these guys are on massive wages, like as
Yeah,
well. And I think that's
Dybala.
another thing that's to be taken into consideration. And
Yeah.
the moves like Bremer, and other moves they're going to make, it could be, potentially, they'll need the money to do it. They don't really have money available. And I think so there is actually some substance behind, their financial woes, I would say.
It could be true,
But
but I just don't think it's as bad as people are making it be. I think there is financial woes, but I don't think it's as bad.
yeah, and I think it's it's quite accurate to an extent. But the one thing that I think could be probably brought up is the fact that what do you make of the fact that Chelsea are now leading the race for Richarlison, someone that we were originally looking at. What do you make of that?
This is how crazy this transfer window is. I didn't even see that. I didn't even see that. That is so actually mad. I thought they were gonna go for Sterling, which is what recently that everybody was talking about. I guess now they're going in for Richarlison. That's why I'm kind of not listening as much as I used to the transfer windows. It's mainly also because of the way Paratici works. Things could change as fast as a flip of a switch. So Chelsea leading the race for Richarlison. I would like Richarlison. He's a Conte player. He's the type of player that you hate to play against, but you love to have on your team, kind of like Højbjerg. Um, I don't think he'd be. I don't think he'd be a good fit at Chelsea. I think if he did go to Chelsea, I think he'd flop. He's not a Thomas Tuchel player, and I think this story is. I'm not sure who said this about Conte leading the race for Richarlison, but I'm not sure it's that accurate.
Yeah, I kind of said earlier that Richarlison, going to Chelsea makes sense because I feel like with Lukaku leaving, maybe they see Richarlison as actually the player they should have gone for originally. Dave kind of disagreed with me on that part, and he actually
I
thought
kind of
that,
disagree with you too.
yeah, is that something that just Richarlison just doesn't fit
I
Chelsea in your eyes?
I think it would be a better fit if they go in for Gabriel Jesus.
Okay, yeah, that could make sense. Yeah, I could see that working.
And it'd be better because Arsenal miss out on him.
Some people, hate Chelsea equally as much, to be fair. But yeah, that is a good point. Just to maybe spoil the scum, just a bit more. But you seem to be on Dave's side, when it comes to the Richarlison case.
Yeah.
And then Rafinha, is that someone that you're a big fan of? I feel like he's an absolute sensation. The big rumor is that he's heading to Barcelona, but if you ask me, Barcelona, unless they want to pay 55 million euros, they don't have for the guy, then be my guest. But I feel like he's headed to some Premier League club of some kind. If you ask me, do you feel like you could, is Rafinha someone you would take? Is that someone that you don't see going to Spurs? Thoughts on the Rafinha situation?
Yeah, I actually see this one happening more than of the other rumors that were going on this going for forward. I feel like Rafinha is that type of player that he's really skillful and he's a top player. Top European clubs are going to go in for him. You see Barcelona wanting him. That just shows that right now their financial problems are. That is a team that their financial problems are really bad. And I feel they're not going to be able to have the funds to go in for him. Um, I heard somewhere else. I don't know if it was a reliable source or not that Chelsea wanted him, Arsenal wanted him as well. I don't think he'd go for Arsenal. I think if he had the choice between Tottenham and Arsenal, he'd obviously go for Tottenham. Most players would in the world right now. And I just feel Rafinha, the problem with the starting 11 and the places, to me, this shouldn't be a problem. I feel like he would play evenly with Kulusevski. I think he's evenly talented as Kulusevski, and I think That should not be a problem. And if we're going to be in these competitions like the Champions League, we should have the squad depth of a Champions League team, and Rafinha would give us that.
Yeah, and Rafinha, to be fair, everybody loves Rafinha. I don't think I've run into a guy that doesn't like Rafinha. It's just whether it actually works.
I know someone who thinks he's cocky and that he thinks he's a weird person, which he did walk the length of Elton Road with his knees when they stayed safe in the Premier League. That was quite weird.
You're picking between a guy that does that and then Richarlison, who does, the chicken celebration as well. So, I don't really know which one's weirder, if you ask me.
It's true.
But Dan, tell me a bit about your channel, my man. Anything, I know you have, podcasts, you played FIFA in the past, my man. So what's happening on your channel? Tell me about it. And I know you're just above 500 subscribers as well. So hopefully we can get you to 550 maybe.
Yeah, we actually just smashed 500 subscribers. I think right now we're at 533 exactly. But yeah, we're starting a lot more content now, and we're actually having a 500 subscriber special coming soon where I'm gonna go out into the park and recreate the best Spurs goals. So that should be fun. Should also be frustrating when I hit the post 14 times again. But yeah, we do some podcast talking Spurs news. It gets quite when people disagree with me, James Ward-Prowse stuff. They know me as the James Ward-Prowse guy. So yeah, if you guys want to go over and check out to my channel, I'd gravely appreciate it.
Love that. Absolutely love that. Well, Dan, really do appreciate you coming on, my man. Really do appreciate the patience that you showed as well. Big line tonight. And honestly, love that you spoke with your chest, especially in the James Ward-Prowse, sense, my man. And we'll speak to you soon. Everybody, check out Dan's channel. Thanks for coming on, my man.
Thanks, mate.
Catch you, Dan. Everybody. Alrighty. Well, we're going to bring David back on. I just don't think he wanted to interrupt, Daniel, mid-flow. He had lots to say. And so we're going to test out maybe Dave's mic because I think there was a bit of feedback there. So apologies, everybody.
Yeah, look, in the middle of when Dan was speaking, wasn't the time to do it. So I said I'd sit it out, wait, and hopefully now it sounds better, Jacko. Can you hear any feedback now?
Yeah, I do, unfortunately, Dave. I hear the occasional bass guitar music. Okay. Maybe I'll try turning you maybe down or something like that. I'll just turn you down a lot.
1 2 1 2 testing 1 2 DAV.
I think I just turn. How about go back to what you originally have? I'll just turn you down maybe a bit or something like that.
Oh, actually, yeah.
But everybody, I guess Dave will continue to experiment for now. We have a few people to get to in terms of the super chats. DG just grabbed the fan show membership. Big up, DG. Thank you, my man. Unfortunately, the link is no longer available, but we will have you Friday, my man, DG. We are going to be around Friday, 2 fan shows a week at this moment in time, DG. So we have, again, no longer just 1 fan show a week. You have Monday and Friday to be able to come on, DG. So hopefully we catch you Friday. If not, we'll see you next Monday, DG. Really do appreciate the support, brother.
Yeah, big up, DG. Hopefully we get to see you next month, or Friday even. Friday, my man. Hopefully we get to see you Friday, brother. Big yourself up. Really appreciate you coming to channel member. Everybody else, follow DG's lead. Look, we're on the big push to 7K. If we get there, look, it'll be ideal that everyone kind of grab them channel membership. Even if you don't want to be a part of these fan shows, it's just a great way to show your support for everything we do over here. Plus, it just secures the long-term security of this channel going forward, because there are a lot of things we want to pay for that are quite expensive to bring a lot more better content to the Spurs YouTube community. So that would be absolutely awesome. And then we have Jerome here. Big up, Jerome. I haven't seen you in a while, brother. I hope you're keeping well.
Big up, Jerome. Big up, Jerome. He says, Eriksen has been a good servant for the club for a very long time, but we need to move on from him and find a younger, creative midfielder. Unpopular opinion. Believe me, Jerome, this has been expressed plenty of times at this stage, Jerome. In fact, and a few occasions with the super chat, actually, Jerome. So believe me, my man, I feel like everybody's coming in here and saying, like, unpopular opinion, I don't want Eriksen. Believe me, Jerome, it is a very popularly held opinion. In fact, I flip back and forth on this so much, I don't even know what I even hold on the Eriksen case. Most cases I've said I don't want him. If the conditions were set up right, I think I would take him. But most of the time I said I wouldn't. And I'm going to probably stick with that, Jerome. I'm not going to really be up in arms or like throwing a hissy fit. If he were to come to the club, I'd absolutely welcome him with open arms. It's just he's not even close to my first, second, third, fourth choice, even for that sort of creative midfielder role. I just feel like there's others out there. And like you kind of say, I feel like maybe a younger, hungrier, maybe, kind of creative midfielder with something to prove is perhaps actually what Spurs should be looking for. Dave, sorry, it was still happening, but I'm going to see. How's it looking now?
I do not know, lad. How's it sounding now? Any better?
Might be better. I think we'll just continue how it is. But any thoughts on Jerome? He's basically expressing the same thing John Stokes more or less said, before. And what's funny, Dave, is everybody thinks this is an unpopular opinion, but by the looks of it, it isn't an unpopular opinion.
No, look, it's definitely not an unpopular opinion. Look, if Eriksen was our main target coming in here, by all means, I wouldn't be too happy. But the fact that we've got Basuma in, and we're only looking for a guy to offer us maybe that creative sort of option if needed, and the fact that he's not going to be a regular starter, but he does give us a different option in the midfield that maybe we do not have at present. I mean, that's why I would take him in right now. The fact that we have got Basuma in, so for me, that's why that's why I'd bring him in. And look, I can understand people not wanting this guy back. I get the way he left the club. Like I said, I have changed my mind on this, Jerome. But for me, like I said, just purely to have that attacking option, that if we need to bring it off the bench against low block teams, we can. So that's why I would bring him in. And the fact that we've signed Basuma and he's not our main midfield signing this summer again is another reason. I think just to have that extra option, that fifth option, it gives us plenty of strength in depth. It means we're not throwing massive money about to kind of sign someone else. And it just means now we can use that money in other positions. Big up, Jerome.
Yeah, big up, Jerome. Spot on, my man. And really do appreciate, Jerome, the support. Really do appreciate the comment. Thank you for coming in here. And Jerome, I don't know if you ever responded to this, but I swear I saw you go on the terrace the other day and just absolute mic drops the other day, and you still haven't responded to it. Maybe you just want to keep, your identity hidden in that regard. Maybe you never even wanted me to see that. But big up, Jerome. Really do appreciate all the support that you do show this channel. And like I said, my man, not an unpopular opinion whatsoever, brother. Not an unpopular opinion. But we are going to bring on the next guest, and I do believe, just making sure I'm getting my order right here, I think we have James. That's right. We have James and Jack coming on. Just trying to get this figured out. Trying to find Jerome so I can get rid of this. Sorry, Dave. And then, Dave, I think the mic thing is still happening, unfortunately, as well. It's still happening in the background. But we're going to bring on James and Jack. What's up, you guys?
Hello. Hey. How's it going, guys?
How are we?
Good to have you. It seems like, James, you wanted to do this as a duo. It's almost like you needed your wingman here, in the case of Jack. So, what am I going to be receiving here from you guys? Why am I getting, two for the price of one?
Well, that's what Spurs related come with nowadays. It's like buy one, get on free, but it's 2 for 1. It's good offers. And yeah, I know Jack wanted to come on as well, so we thought we'd kind of kill 2 birds in one stone and have a discussion point maybe for a little bit.
What's on the mind, then? Jack, do you want to start us off? What's on the mind?
I was just going to quickly say I've stole James's thunder. I think now I've come in. We've been doing all right, so I think now we come as a double act, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you guys. I absolutely loved it when I was on last time, and I thought let's get on tonight and hopefully give some fans a bit of energy and some good talking points.
Love that. Well, we have a few talking points, that we've, discussed earlier on a stream. We have a few ones that we have here. We have Bastoni boost. Everybody has an opinion on Eriksen, Richarlison, Højbjerg. But James, I don't know, my man. I think you even texted me. You had something else Eriksen-wise that you said you wanted to talk to me, James.
Right, I got to get one thing off my chest because I've heard a lot of people talk about Eriksen today, right? So the thing with me is, and I've seen actually a lot of people since I said that to you, Jack, that have actually said like they wouldn't like Eriksen. Now, for me, don't get me wrong, I love Eriksen. He was brilliant at Spurs, for 7-8 years. Great servant at the club. But I will tell this to fans once, and I don't know if people agree with me on this point, but I don't think it's an attitude problem. I don't think it's anything to do with that. It was to do with that last 6 months. It really hurt me as a fan of Eriksen, and obviously what he went through and everything else. I'm so glad he's okay, and let's not get that point wrong, but let's not forget those last 6 months he was basically like begging to go. He didn't want to be at Spurs. I went to games live and watched him literally jog around the pitch, not put his 100% effort in, and it upset me. And And people will turn around and say, well, he still scored goals when he wasn't putting in 100%. And I'll
But
say,
that memory
yes.
is more recent in your heart. Like, that's, those days of him giving up is like, feels more recent to you.
Yeah. So there's two things. He either comes back, he forgets about it all, and, he starts scoring like he used to, being the player he was, almost like, I don't know, some people probably call him a legend, right? But he could do that and completely eradicate those negative thoughts. But for me, I'm not 100% sold on him just because of that reason. And if we got him, I wouldn't not be happy. I would still be happy because it would be a free and the wages probably wouldn't be extortionate. But there's always that thing overhanging about the way it ended. And I don't know, it'd be good to see what the chat are thinking. Maybe what Jack or you're thinking on this point as well. But for me,
Yeah, Jack,
there's
do you
always
feel
that.
like you go to the games as well? Like, are you like James? Are you a bit still
I
Eriksen
go
emotions are
to
still a
all
bit
the
raw,
games,
like James?
trust me. I'd like to think I know my stuff. And me personally, Eriksen, I'll take him back. Me and James, if you watch our channel, you'll know we have contrasting opinions on this. And I think under the Pochettino era, it naturally reached the end of its cycle, and we had fantastic times under Pochettino. We were one of the best teams in the league. Some would even argue in European football, we were playing fantastic. But when we lost that Champions League final, the place turned a bit toxic. Pochettino in his interviews didn't seem like he wanted to be there. The good team cohesion just wasn't there anymore. You could see it publicly. I think Eriksen in that summer said he wanted to leave, and he wasn't granted that wish. He gave everything he could for Spurs, and he was amazing. I think he had more assists than Mesut Ozil, who people were saying is one of the best creative midfielders in the world at the time. He was on par with De Bruyne. He was scoring amazing goals. He was seriously a joy to watch, and somebody that we were extremely lucky to have. A very underrated player as well. And he performed in week out and gave everything, okay? That last 6 months, it was not good, okay? It wasn't the Eriksen. He still gave us moments, like you say. I remember a last-minute winner at Brighton in one of the first games of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Just crucial, like he was still doing stuff because of his quality. Yes, he might have not given his all, but I understand. Multiple players, they couldn't do it mentally. Mentally or physically, I think they were drained out. I think mentally worn out, physically worn out. It was just we literally went as far as we could and we couldn't get over the line. And I don't think Eriksen got granted his wish to leave, and that's why he didn't play to the best of his ability. Now he's got a new lease of life. He's been amazing at Brentford. He's come back even stronger, which no one thought he could, which is amazing that he's been able to play and recover as well as he has. And now he's got maybe 9 clubs in for him. And I personally think there's not many creative midfielders that are as good as Eriksen that we can get on a free. And I'd rather spend the money in other positions. And that's me personally, but I can totally see why.
That's why you wanted to go first, James, because, it seems like Jack, has a lot to say, on defending Eriksen here. Is this, but we're getting on Spurs related? You guys couldn't be further from the opposite ends of the table here on this case.
Well, at the end of the day, that's what it's all about, creating talking points. But I would say, just to clear things up, I don't not want Eriksen back. I'm just saying that is looming over my opinion. And there's been a few people in the comments, and this is why I brought it up, because it's brought a good discussion point. But I think it's Daniel Field agrees with me, but then King Hoddle and a couple of others are saying, get over it, look at Harry, we've moved on from him. And I do understand that. I do understand that point of view. But what I'm saying is, then someone's told me it's about the sentimental value. Well, the sentimental value that 90% of people wanting Eriksen back is, he was a legend. He was a great, he's the great Dane at Spurs. He got the most assists since he was there in 2013 to 2020. So that's sentimental. The point about him kind of turning his back on the club isn't sentimental. That's remembering someone that didn't play for the club, didn't play with his heart on his sleeve, and didn't play for pride for the last 6 months. And that upsets me as a diehard Spurs fan, someone kind of turning from almost legend status to someone that was wriggling his way out of the club. And maybe Daniel Levy and etc. didn't, let him go fairly, and maybe there was an agreement there. But I still don't like a player that doesn't put 100% in for the badge, and I will always remain like that. But I'm just want to clarify, I'd still
second
take
chances, though. That's what it seems to be the theme here. Is Jack's willing to give the guy a second chance, and that seems to be the theme here. Is that no one disagrees that Eriksen had a poor 6 months, but some people want to see him have that second chance.
I think that it's massively down to opinion. For me, I think if there was a young creative midfielder that was worth the money and I felt like it was a good opportunity, I would go for him every day of the week. But the quality Eriksen can produce, the age he has, also that sentimental value that he could have a cup at Spurs, in, like, that would just be amazing. Him coming back to a full set of fans, I think it'd be brilliant. But mainly because there's no one we can get for his quality at a reasonable price. I would rather strengthen elsewhere, like a world-class right wing back, maybe in Hakimi, maybe a world-class forward we can add to that front line who can compete with Kulusevski, Son and Kane. I just feel like there's other positions we can strengthen. And getting Eriksen on a free, I don't think would be bad business. But the more I think about it, the more news that's coming out recently. It can change. Every day it changes, let's be honest, guys. Yesterday we thought it was definitely going to happen. Today we've been told it's very unlikely. So we don't know. But it looks like we're going to prioritise the right wing back and centre half. But just quickly, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because the way we're moving this window, I wouldn't be surprised if Paratici and Conte are building something big. Maybe they've got big plans. Who knows? I'm jumping the gun, but who knows about Milinkovic-Savic, someone with a world-class player they're looking at. But maybe that's being a bit too optimistic.
I kind of like that, guys. Honestly, well settled there at the end. Kind of came to a nice little closing point.
We rehearsed it for like 20 minutes before. Not joking. We didn't really.
Even every word out I was going to say as well. But I don't know. I just picked one randomly here, guys. You can just tell me, Jack, I don't want to talk about this. But if you want to, Richarlison, I was talking to Dave about earlier, and Dave was telling me that, him going to Chelsea, it's not actually happening. It's something he doesn't see happening. I actually feel like it makes sense, Richarlison going to Chelsea, because they're getting rid of Lukaku. They're done with him. I could see him being like maybe the Lukaku that they meant to get, if that makes sense.
Where can you see him playing, though? Where can you see him playing?
As a striker? I could see him playing as a striker. I could see him playing as a left wing.
But not just that, Chelsea probably lack a few wingers as well, and that he could play both positions, couldn't he? So I think
because who's the striker that's really there? I know Havertz is like the one that maybe they actually see as the best one, but you could see Richarlison being more similar to Havertz than he is to a Lukaku, if you ask me. But everybody has disagreed with me so far, so I'm actually just asking for someone to agree with me at this stage.
So just quickly, Jack, on the thing about Chelsea, the links, I'm sure that could probably happen. But you've now picked another subject where me and Jack completely disagree on Richarlison as well. So we got another 20 minutes in the locker. We got to go. But just very quickly,
you wouldn't think we're friends, would you? You'd think, I'm better than you, you're better than me.
Richarlison, for me, isn't worth the money, and I can explain where, I can go into detail, but I think there's better players out there for the same money. Now, I compared it to Rafinha earlier in the stats. I feel like Rafinha would offer more. Leeds are probably a worse team than Everton in terms of maybe not last season, but like overall, I think I think Richarlison, yes, he got Everton out of the mud last year, but also Rafinha had quite a quiet year and still scored and assisted more than Richarlison. And I think Rafinha is a better player, but then you could even, go into other forwards. You've obviously got links with Lautaro Martinez and Inter offloading players. And I know there was the talk about getting defenders out rather than attackers. But for me, I don't want to switch talking points, but Lautaro Martinez, I know potentially a different type of player to Richarlison and Rafinha. But for me, outscores them, out-assists them, outclasses them by miles. Yes, he's more money. Yes, it would be an absolute statement. But I feel like that's what we need to do. But I don't want to skip to that talking point just yet. I want Jack to try and talk me getting Richarlison, but I can't hear it.
James, I can convince anyone. Don't you worry. I'll give you some stats, figures, tell you why I think Richarlison's a good player. So for me, I'm very much a Rafinha fan as well. I think he's awesome. Okay, but I'm gonna go against you again, James. I'm gonna say why I like Richarlison. So Richarlison is very, very versatile, and in modern day football, that is so important. To be able to play on the left, centrally, and on the right is massive. It really is. Versatility is so important. With Conte, you want someone who can do that. I think playing in a poor Everton side, people labelling him as like disrupting the dressing room. This guy single-handedly, in my opinion, saved Everton from relegation. That would have been massive if they got relegated. And he literally grabbed that team by the scruff of the neck, scored massive, important goals. He's only had one season in the Premier League where he hasn't got more than 10 goals and I think 5 assists. And playing in a team that really is not that strong, I think that's good stats. And I think for someone with that versatility, with that proven Prem goal record, I really don't think it'd be a bad shout. And I trust Conte, I trust Paratici. And if they think he's the right man, then why shouldn't we pay the money? I'm fed up of losing players over £5 to £10 million. If we got the money, let's go spend it.
But Jack, just quickly, like I looked at his disciplinary record earlier. He's literally had 25 yellow cards in about 3 seasons. Now you might turn around and say, well, it doesn't matter if you get the odd yellow card, but can we risk a player like that in high caliber games, potentially getting a red card as well, doing stupid, making stupid decisions? Yes, he could be a talented guy. Yes, he could score double, figure goals. But where's he going to fit in? I know it's a squad
How many
game.
red cards, James? How many red cards?
I didn't look at that, but yellow cards can turn into red cards, and they can turn into bans as well. So
kind of like the Lamella argument, not so many red cards, more yellow cards.
Richarlison has a lot more quality than Lamella, but I totally understand what you mean. He's very fiery, he's very hot-headed, but I like him. He brings that passion. If he gives everything on that pitch and he's going to produce moments of magic, then I can see why we'd be in for him. But overall, just quickly, I think that I probably would rather Rafinha, but for the debate, I'm gonna pick up on Richarlison. I think he's a good player, but I think Richarlison, I think Rafinha does have that world-class potential, world-class ability.
Yeah.
To be honest, Jack, though, what you just said about him being able to play across the forward line is the whole reason why I think it makes sense for him to go to Chelsea's, because that's what Thomas Tuchel likes. He seems to like those forwards that he can just put anywhere by the looks of it. And Richarlison, I think, is one of those players.
I totally get what you mean, Jack. But me personally, if I was looking at from an outsider's point of view, I do believe they'd be better fit for Chelsea. I just believe that because they've got Havertz, Mount, Pulisic. I feel like they've got a kind of lot. But you're right, the versatility is important for them. But I just feel like they might need someone centrally who can work with their press, work with Tuchel's system. But I don't think Richarlison's an out-and-out goal scorer. I personally believe if he was available, Chelsea probably would swoop him for someone like Lautaro Martinez. I also think as a statement signing with the new owners, they probably want to buy someone of a high caliber. Chelsea fans, they won the Champions League last year. Would they be happy with bringing in someone like Richarlison as their central player who's going to play it week in, week out? I don't think they would be. Spurs fans wouldn't be happy with him being brought in. If he was our central striker, we're happy because he'd be a fantastic utility option because we've already got one of the best front threes in the Premier League. So I just don't see them.
I tried my best. to convince you. You're being nice to me, both of you. You guys are being nice to me, both of you, considering. But we have just a few minutes left. Any last topics that you guys feel like we didn't address, and that maybe Spurs related has been talking about? Anything that's been on your guys' mind?
Yeah, I think the only thing that Jack might have something, but the only thing I would say is obviously I mentioned Lautaro Martinez, and he Inter would probably want 80 to 90 million to even think about it. But for me, I just think it's money that we've got to put down. Like, I think the guy before, Dan, was saying, like, James Ward-Prowse, not necessarily I'm agreeing with, paying 50, 60 million for him, but he's saying, like, why do we always get 10, 15 million off paying for these players and then regret it? And I completely agree with that statement. With Lautaro Martinez, how do we know that 90 million 2 years down the line isn't actually he's going to be worth 130 million? Because no one knows how good he really is going to be. He's been into 3 or 4 years and he's been class. He's scored double figure goals and assists every single season. He's got Dybala kind of stats, and everyone went mental about Dybala at that age as well. So why are we not going more mental for this guy? I mean, just because he's not called Dybala and he's called Lautaro Martinez, for me, he's as good as Dybala, if not better. I'm saying that now because he's been linked with all these different clubs, and we're stuck about 90 million. I know we have 150 million to spend, but don't forget we have so much coming out as well. We have Lo Celso to sell, Ndombele to sell, Winks to sell, potentially Reguilon to sell, Emerson to sell. That's probably about 100 million, just the ones I've mentioned alone, Rodon. And then we're going to get money back, plus 150 million net. We're going to have a lot of incomings. Don't forget we've got Perisic on a free, Fraser Forster on a free. We've only actually spent 25 million. We've got about 200 million to go, guys. I mean, 90 million, yes, that could be about half of it, but it's about time we really close the gap between Man City and Liverpool, challenging the Champions League again. Let's get back to where we were in 2019, because everyone's saying, this could be the season, this could be the season. I completely agree, but I do think we need 1 or 2 more marquee signings, statement signings to close that gap.
But James, I think that's a fantastic point, but I'm going to quickly add to my side of the story here. I think we definitely need 1 or 2, maybe even 3 marquee signings in the right positions. I think that we need that man to be Hakimi on the right-hand side, potentially, if he's available. And I also think I would rather add another world-class centre-half and add another forward line, because I think the front three work so well together. We just need someone to add to that line, not someone maybe world-class, because I think there's an argument that Lautaro Martinez might already be world-class. I feel like if he joins, he's going to demand that starting spot, but we need someone who's ready to take on any position. And I feel like someone maybe like Jesus, someone like Rafinha would slot in a bit better. I'll take Lautaro Martinez in a heartbeat, but I still believe we can spend our money better on certain positions.
But Jack, what about Bastoni or Pau Torres, which would be, 50 to 70 million pounds, depending on which one, plus Lautaro
The defense
Martinez?
can only get so good, James. We only let in so many goals, under Antonio Conte. How much better can the defense get?
Exactly.
That's the devil's advocate. That's the devil's advocate argument I can make. Maybe you do spend money on the creative midfielder or the striker.
I'd argue there, Jack, as well, because I think the defence was amazing last year, but we can't rely on the same players to keep churning out these fantastic performances. Ben Davies was unreal. Eric Dyer played very well. But let's not kid ourselves here, guys. They still let us down. We need a serious player in the centre back again. We need to add to this squad. We can't sit here. I'm telling you, us getting top 4 was a massive, massive stepping stone for Tottenham. But if we sit on our laurels and we just let that happen, they're like, great, we got top 4. I guarantee you, Eric Dyer and Ben Davies will carry on making the same mistakes that happened under Mourinho.
I'm singing to the choir. Dave's nodding the head right there. You're singing to the choir. I know he is.
Let's not forget that under Jose Mourinho, for that first 6 months, we were talking, some people were talking about a title race under these players. They were amazing. But quickly, they found out the same mistakes and they let us down. And I think they're good players, but they need someone with that high calibre that they can challenge against, because they're too comfortable at Spurs. Let's not sit on our laurels. Let's invest the money and in the right position.
But one more thing, just very quickly. Jack, do you think we need to spend 70, 80 million pounds on Hakimi as a right wing back, when I would argue now, if we do get Jed Spence in, we've got Matt Doherty, I think that's solid enough for now.
No.
You don't, because I think left centre back is a priority. But I don't think right wing back, we need to be spending 80 million.
We're shoving that back in your face, my man. We're shoving that back in your face.
Tell me why we should spend 80 million pounds on a right wing back, please.
James, because teams were targeting us for not having good right wing backs, my man. Teams were targeting us for not having good right wing backs. We need good right wing backs.
No, I don't agree spending 80 million on a right wing back. I can't justify that.
This is where I'm getting passionate now. I need to prove my point. Right. Conte, his main positions, look at his success in the past. They've been solely down to his wing backs. They are so important. That pace down the wing, they're almost effective wingers.
Yeah, he had Ashley Young. He had Ashley Young and Victor Moses. They're not 80 million pound players.
Yes, he had Ashley Young, but Matt Doherty, I know, look, that's a very good point. I'm liking it. But I think if we had that world-class right wing back like Hakimi, I think that would benefit us so much when we've already got world-class forwards at our disposal. Add Hakimi to that. That is frightening. Why shouldn't we spend the money on that? I think it makes silly not to, honestly.
Lads, great conversation. Spurs related. I mean, you guys honestly just covered that whole time absolutely perfectly. And you probably didn't even need me or Dave, to be fair. You guys probably could have switched places with us. Maybe ran the rest of the show. Perhaps we'll do that next time. We'll do like a swap in, swap out, like Basuma, coming in for Højbjerg, kind of situation here. But Spurs related, fresh off 1,000 guys. Tell us what's going on over there.
Yeah, very grateful for all the players. I was about to say, we're talking so much about players. I was about to say some of the, obviously a lot of the Harris Army that came over in recent months, and your support, Dave and Jack's been vital in getting there, and we're really grateful. And yeah, we hit a K yesterday. We're already on the way to 2K. So great content over there. We'd like to think great talking points. A little bit like we've just kind of done there. Little short videos, longer streams, little ideas out of the box, and also quizzes, which I've invited Dave on. I know he's busy this week, but we'll get that quiz back on the road as kind of one of our little niches in terms of Spurs quizzes. We like to think it's a nice community event and a nice vibe in the chat. I remember last time we were worried that it was going to ruin the vibe, and I think we beat Man City, and then we did one. It was incredible. It was a great night. But get over to Spurs related guys and smash a sub, and more importantly, keep supporting this channel, because it just goes from strength to strength. You guys are nearly on 7K. It's absolutely crazy. But thanks for having us on.
Appreciate you, James, and everybody. Just show Spurs related the support they deserve. Dave's been on there since I don't know. It felt like from the beginning, and it felt like just yesterday I was on there with you guys. And so seriously, they're showing immense growth. They're huge on Instagram. They made probably one of the most difficult abilities to be able to do, which is to move from the Instagram world to the YouTube world, two very different worlds, both very, very difficult in their own right. And so I will say they're smashing both at the moment. Show them the support that they deserve, everybody.
Legends, guys.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks for having us on.
Have a good night, guys.
Thanks for coming
Top
on.
Cheers,
man.
guys.
Good to have you.
See you soon.
Take it easy. See you later, boys.
Catcha, boys. Catcha. Everybody, show everybody from Spurs related support they deserve. Dave, I know I've kind of kept you shut up this whole time. I do apologize. Maybe we could test it out again. I think you might have figured it out.
I hope so, because if not, I'm giving up for the
Sounds
for the
good.
evening.
You sound
Okay,
golden. You sound golden.
Grand.
Figured it
I'm
out.
sorry,
Figured it
Spurs
out.
related boys. I would love to have jumped in on that conversation, but I didn't know what the mic was like. So, again, I had to wait till you were done. But at least I sound good now. That's the main thing, because it was pissing me off. I think I found what the problem is, but let's go.
All right, let's get it going. And well, honestly, we're still flying, Dave. We've gone through a lot of guests still, and they've all had plenty to say, and we're still flying in form. Still only actually 2 hours and 30 minutes in. So I will say, Dave, I mean, we're moving in peak form right now. Jerome answering my question from earlier about the terrace, saying, yeah, that was me. I will definitely join as a fan cam. And remember, I have a discussion with you boys when time permits, and have a discussion with you boys when time permits. So keep up the good work, lads. Jerome, really appreciate your support.
Was he actually on the football terrace? He went on.
I saw him come onto the football terrace, Dave, and I was like, is that Jerome? Is that the Australian Jerome that I feel like I've been hearing? And Dave, he honestly, they almost turned off the stream.
This.
They almost turned off the stream after he went, Dave. And I think it was right after we got top four. I think it was right after top four was sealed. He just shut up all the Gooner fans, shut up all the Chelsea fans. It was just, honestly, Jerome, I must say, it was mic drops galore, my man. I don't even know he had it in him. I didn't even know he had it in him. Big up, Jerome. I'll find the clip for Dave.
Yeah.
I'll find the clip for Dave.
I want to watch it. Big up, Jerome. Legend. They had me on, but they'll never have me on again because I absolutely ruined the whole panel, my man.
I think a similar thing happened to Jerome. I think a similar thing happened to Jerome. They were like, oh, this guy's too dangerous. He's just speaking too much sense here. Big up, Jerome. Really appreciate support.
What a legend. Big up, Jerome. Big up, my man. But look, we'll keep going. We've got the last four guests of the evening. So look who we got on next, Jacko.
KPV.
Yo,
How we doing?
What's up?
Big up, Kyle. How are you keeping, my man?
I'm good.
Life is good. I mean, look, what do you want to talk about today? What have you come on to speak about, my man?
Just come on to speak about probably a lot of Tottenham stuff.
Right, let's start. Where are we going with this?
I'm going to say this once, as I said on Real Tottenham TV channel today. The Bastoni deal is not dead and it's not off the table because Brian Daigle said it and I said it. It's definitely going to get sorted before the season starts. You heard it here. It's going to get sorted. I want Bastoni because Conte wants him. He said he actually wants to come, but then he changed his mind. He wants to stay. But I want Bastoni to, have that competition with Virgil van Dijk and Ben Edgar Davis.
Look, I definitely, I would absolutely love Bastoni to come in this door. I think it'd definitely be a statement signing. He's been a long-term target of ours, so that'll be an absolute massive help as well. So hopefully we can get Bastoni in the door. Kyle, where do you stand on Christian Eriksen, my man? I mean, there's so many divided opinions on this guy. A lot of fans don't want him back at the club. Some people like me reckon get him in because he's a cheap. It's sort of like a cheap option. It just means we can throw money at the likes of Bastoni and all at centre back, and he kind of gives us that creative target or that creative option in the midfield, in my opinion. But where do you stand on Christian Eriksen at this moment in time?
To be honest, I want him back because I know those last 6 months he wasn't that good, but like the Bournemouth game I went to, he actually played brilliant when we beat Bournemouth 3-2. I went to that game. He was brilliant. I know he didn't score, but he scored some stunning goals over the years, including 2 at Stamford Bridge, and he always scored against City and Man United. But I actually want him back. I know he's Tottenham through and through. He loves the club. I actually want him back so we can have 2 Danes, Højbjerg and Eriksen, Denmark teammates. Oh, Danish friends! As Vardy. Yeah, Jamie Vardy said that. Oh, Danish
That's hilarious. I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. Kyle,
Even though he's making fun of it, Kyle, it's true. It's true, right? Bring all the Danes in. That we want all the Vikings we can. We want the Juve rejects, Kyle, and we want the Danish Vikings.
Yeah, like we've got those two Juve rejects, as Mr. Box Office said, but they're
Mr.
not
Post
that.
Box. Mr. Post Box, Kyle.
Yeah, they're not that anymore because they actually done brilliant. But yeah, the ginger from Sweden, like I don't like what the post box said, but yeah, bring
Nobody does. You're not the only one.
bring Eriksen back because I like him. He was brilliant. He scored some stunning goals. Like, yeah, you saw him score in a North London derby for the first time in his final season. Like, he loves scoring in the big games. People say he doesn't turn up, but you saw what happened against Chelsea at the Bridge, 3-1. He scored, and people probably say he doesn't turn up, but look what he did this season, last season with Brentford. They smacked them at the Bridge 4-1, and he always scored. So yeah, the reason why we haven't won at the Bridge is because he left, but it looks like he's gonna come back. But yeah, bring him back. Get it done, Levy.
Exactly.
And yeah, like
Kyle, what do you think of this latest news then? Everton, Southampton, and Sevilla are all monitoring Harry Winks. It's the situation at Spurs, who are willing to listen to offers of around 20 million. And this is by Jack Rosser from The Sun. So again, it's Tottenham. I like The Sun. The only thing I know The Sun to be good for, Kyle, I mean, we were all teenagers once, is page 3. But I mean, what do you make of the reports of them monitoring Harry Winks?
Like, to be honest, Everton can have him. I know we sold Dele there. He didn't start. He's been poor, but Everton can have Harry Winkerbell, as they call him. Yeah, like, you can have him. He's Tottenham through and through. Like, we just don't want him going to a rival. Then we'll probably boom. But Everton, you can have him. Like, linking up. I know Dele's probably going to leave, but
you think Frank would take him, Kyle? He took Dele Alli. Would he take Harry Winks as well? It seems kind of crazy to take both of them.
Yeah, probably. Like, him linking up with Frank Lampard, a Chelsea legend. Like, London rivals linking up. Like, player with manager. Like, fair enough. Yeah, you can have him. But, yeah, if Lampard doesn't start him, then why would he go there? Like, Brentford would actually be a better option for him. Then he can link up with Eriksen again. Like, if Eriksen does stay, but maybe Brentford would be a better option for him. Like, yeah, I'd actually think Brentford would be a better option. But Everton, we'll find out. But for me, I think
really,
Brentford
who's silly enough to take Winks is the question. Is that Thomas Frank guy? He seems like a pretty smart guy, if you ask me, Kyle. Whereas Fat Frank over at Everton, he seems silly enough, to take Harry Winks.
Yeah, like Fat Frank, as people called him. Like, but yeah, I don't care if Winks goes because I loved him for what he's done for the club. He scored against West Ham on his debut. I think he celebrated. Poch brought him through the academy, but yeah, he's Tottenham through and through. Like, he won't go anywhere else. Like, Ledley, the king of the lane, he wouldn't go anywhere as an ambassador. So yeah, just keep him in the Premier League. Like Everton or Brentford, but I said Brentford a better option for him. But Lampard can have him just as long as he can start him. Then yeah, he'll do great. But for me, yeah, I say Brentford's a better option. And
yeah, probably right.
Yeah, striker wise.
What do you make of this, though? Just in the topic of Winks, Højbjerg was included in the same sentence. Kyle, I was closing the laptop. Some of us were up in arms, ready to storm the stadium, probably actually going after Paratici's head, if he were to sell Højbjerg, alongside Winks. But it was amended, Kyle. Gary Jacobs, he corrected the article. He made it clear, Højbjerg's not out the door. What have you made of that, my man? At one stage, we thought Højbjerg was leaving.
Like, I do not believe that 1 second. Like, I'm sorry, but Højbjerg is going nowhere. Like, he's the Viking. He's brilliant. Like, I like him. I've got one of our shirts with his name on from the 2021 season with the yellow shirt. I've got his name on the back. Like,
Come on.
yeah, the Viking. He's played 100 games for Spurs over 2 years. And yeah, for me, yeah, I think we keep him. He's won a Champions League with Bayern Munich already. So we have a European winner. Like, you keep him. Like, yeah, I think we should keep him.
Yeah, completely agree, Kyle.
He scored, what, 4 goals for Tottenham in 2021. That's when they all came, but home goals. But yeah, he's going to score more. Let's be honest. He's going to score some more goals. Let's be honest. Like, I don't care what anyone says about him. If you don't like him, then go support someone else. But put some respect on his name.
Yeah,
Like,
he needs the
put
respect.
some respect
Exactly.
on Son. Not been nominated for a couple of awards.
True.
Disrespect. Like,
True.
he scored 23 goals without a single penalty, and everyone else gets it, but he doesn't. I'm sorry, but the Premier League are a joke. Show some respect. And
Exactly.
yeah, and
Exactly.
this
Kyle,
season,
Kyle, just quickly on Højbjerg. Speaking on the midfield, who would you actually start in your midfield two if Conte was to play the same formation he played last season? Who would be in your two in the middle?
two. Like, if I was Conte, I'd probably start Højbjerg and Borsuma. Borsuma. Yeah, I'll probably start those two. Yeah, Højbjerg and Borsuma, I think. Yeah. Like,
do you see Basuma starting the first game? That would be crazy, Kyle. I mean, talk about, making first impressions.
Yeah, I think I'd see Borsuma starting with Højbjerg go home to Southampton. Like, we owe them revenge after what they did to us. Like, I think that was Laurie's best performance in the game. That was his best performance. But we were poor, but we owe them revenge. But yeah, I think I see Borsuma starting, I think.
Are Southampton and Brighton rivals? Am I, do you guys know by chance, being kind of southern?
I think they are. I think they are.
They're both in the south, right? They're both in the south, right? They're both.
Yeah.
So maybe Basuma, he has to start, Kyle. He has to show, the former rival, right? The former rival.
Yeah.
He's got to give him a bit of payback on our behalf.
Yeah, he's got to give them payback on our behalf because they've never beaten us at N17 since Leicester won the title that season. So that was the last time they beat us. But they finally broke that jinx and beat us at our new stadium when they've not beaten us there. We beat them there, I think 2 times, and that was under Mourinho. But they finally managed to win our new ground. But they got lucky this time. But this season coming, they're not winning there again. We've got Perisic, Borsuma, and their goalkeeper who made a couple of good saves. But just watch out, Pass and Hootle. You got battered when you came to Southampton. You lost, 5-0? Yeah, then you got
He lost 9-0 2 seasons running, Kyle.
Yeah, they lost when we had Poch. I think we won, 5-0 when Pass and Hootle was appointed. We battered these lot. Then 5-2, Son gets 4, Kane gets in on the act, Kane and Son assisting. Like, they're just too good. Kulusevski's going to do it. But this season, watch out, we're winning the league. That's what Conte wants. Kane and Son won it, and Arsenal fans are going to say, they won the league at ours. But watch out. I want the Champions League and the Premier League. And yeah, that's what we want. Then they can't say shit to us. I'm sorry, but I want those 2 big competitions. Like, wouldn't mind, but that's what I want. Hopefully everyone will agree. And everyone, smash the like and hit that subscribe button. Everyone would be appreciated. And as always, back Conte. Come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust.
Big up, Kyle. We'll see you again soon, my man. Absolutely love that.
He runs the show, Dave. He runs the show.
Conte did.
Been singing that song all summer, my man. Been singing it all summer.
Yeah.
But look, Kyle, breath of fresh air, as always. Puts a smile on people's face, as always. And we'll see you again soon, brother.
Yeah.
Big up, Kyle.
Big up.
Big up.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come
Big
on,
up,
you
Kyle.
Spurs.
He
He's off
runs
to
the
play
show,
FIFA
Dave.
now. He's off to play Ultimate Team, so he's Jackie. Absolutely.
He's still
loves
wondering
it.
why you're hiding from him, Dave. I'm surprised he didn't bring that up. That was actually quite nice of him. He didn't bring up, any of the FIFA, kind of banter. That's the kind of guy Kyle is, though, Dave. He doesn't, bring that up, that kind of stuff. He's a nice guy.
I beat Kyle every day of the week, hands down. He knows it. That's why he hasn't requested me.
But pick up KPV. Everyone show KPV the support.
Yeah.
Honestly, my cheeks hurt every single time when KPV comes on.
Oh, the Danish friends absolutely killed me.
Pick up. Everyone show him the support he deserves. But we're going to move on to Ian. And honestly, he's been coming on as much as he can. And I feel like we've gotten to know Ian more and more, and Dave, each time. Ian, good to have you, my man. Second to last, or not actually, I think we still have a few more. So then again, I feel like normally you kind of wrap us up, but you don't have that privilege this time, my man. But what's on your mind? What's going on? Anything with the tabloids that, has come up to you? Eriksen rejecting Brentford has just been made, or rejecting Man United has just been made official. What's on your mind, my man?
I'm just hoping that, we can actually bring Eriksen in. It's nice that
Eriksen
we're
in campaign, because a lot of people put in some super chats saying they don't want Eriksen. Where are you in the
Well, I feel like if we can bring him in, that'd be great. But I'm really happy that we don't need to bring him in. It would just be the icing on the top, and also on a free plus also as it's like plus health issues and just age overall too. That's going to drive it down what we're paying him. So I feel like there's a lot more upside to him coming in than not. But yeah.
Do you feel like if he were to come in, that means that Spurs do want him? It's one of those situations. Yeah. And like you said, with Spurs, that we're not being forced to sign him. We're not bending over backwards, to sign Eriksen. Yeah. So maybe that's the right situation to be, where, Eriksen almost sort of has to come to us, maybe more than, we go to him.
Right. And I've always been one of those folks, if he isn't going to come to us, I don't want him anywhere else in just in the league, just ship him overseas. Hell, even if he shows up in MLS, not going to be too upset there, right? But yeah, it's like, oh my god, if he comes to Cincy, man, that is just going to
there, my man. He would clean up. What do you make of also the Bastoni boost has also been given today? Lautaro Martinez, I will say, I predicted this. Lautaro Martinez is the guy that they see as the person they're not letting go of. He is the golden child, at Inter Milan. They are willing to let go of Skriniar or Bastoni, but it looks like Skriniar is the one that might be headed out the door. What do you think?
Sure.
What's the situation?
Whatever Inter wants, hand it over. Honestly, I'm just at the point, for all we know, this will be the only time Levy and Enoch shell out this kind of cash. So you have to make the most of it. Also, that's what the cash is for. Spend the money, and who knows? He could just be a complete shit show once he arrives, but you're not going to know until you know. So just shell it out, solidify that back line, just give some folks a much needed rest, and just move on to what's next. But yeah, it's I am very firmly, let's just get this wrapped up as soon as we're able to, honestly.
And Ian, if it comes to a case that Bastoni rejects us, because look, agent has come out and said that he is very happy at Inter, etc., would you then be tempted to go for someone like Milan Skriniar, considering we were interested before when Steve Hitchen was in here?
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's if someone doesn't want to leave their club, you can't force them. I mean, this isn't the NBA or the NFL where the player has no say in this. All right. Yeah. I cannot fault him for wanting to stay home, but yeah, like as far as like Skriniar, Bremer, there's plenty of options here. Like it's not like we need to like specifically get him in, which is a great problem to have. And just the fact that we're even like having this conversation about like, okay, fine, like he doesn't want to like show up. Who's next? Yeah,
right.
It's like,
right. Like we're not beholden to that number one choice, even though I know he's our number one choice, and we are heartbroken that we don't get our number one choice. We have options out there, and we have the money to go after all these options. So it more or less just comes to, like you just said, who wants to play for Spurs, which is important to you, and I think is important to a lot of Spurs fans, because as much as we all want our number one pick, what I think is important to a lot of Spurs fans like yourself, Ian, is who actually wants to play for Spurs. And we've seen that, you know, with players like Gio, you know, Tanguy, you know, as talented as they are, as good as they come in with all that hype, if they don't want to play for Spurs, they might fall flat on their face. Do you feel like there is the danger of that, where if you sign a player that maybe isn't as keen on playing for Spurs, could be like a Gio Lo Celso or a Tanguy situation?
Right. And I think as far as like in Ndombele, Lascelles, so and like all of them, like on one hand, I kind of have a little bit of sympathy for them, but not much, right? Like I really wanted them to just come in and just run like rough shot. And to a certain extent, like you can blame the fact that they've had four head coaches and they're like 2.5, 3 years at the club, which look like no one can help that. But at the same time, though, you play through that. I mean, like I can only imagine what was going through like Son's head at that point. You didn't hear anything out of him. The whole thing with like Harry was, well, that was what it was, and thankfully it turned out the way it turned out. But like it's like, but at the end of the noon though, you have to like show up at the office and put in the shift. And these guys, like especially GLC, I mean, like he can play like a man possessed for the national team, but for us, he just cannot pass a ball 6 feet to save his life. So, and like I'm very much like, I sort of like very much have like that like mindset of like, wait, other clubs want him and they're gonna give us cash
pay us money for him. Yeah, Dele Alli sort of situation. We're like, oh my God, let's pounce on this.
It's like, and like I would say with like them, I'm just it's like I'm personally just of the mind, I don't care, even if it's at a loss, I don't care. Just get them out at all cost, honestly. So
and
do you know what, Ian?
Sorry, Dave. Yeah, sorry.
I was just going to say quickly. Look, I don't buy into this whole with Ndombele and the Cells and all. They've had a tough time. They've had a few managers.
He didn't want to play for Spurs
because at the end of the day, the way football is nowadays, barely any manager lasts 2 years in a job. Right. You know, I know Klopp and Guardiola are maybe an exception, but apart from that, modern day footballers are used to playing under different regimes, different sort of coaching staffs and stuff like that. Plus, when they had to make the grade, whatever country they were going over from or whatever like town club they started at, you can guarantee that they would have started playing at the town club under one manager and then being drafted into their academies or whatever under another manager. So if they were well able to do it to get into the professional ranks to earn the big money, well, then there's no excuses for them, in my opinion, when it comes to that.
Right. Yeah, it's like, and at the end of the just at the end of the day, like you can give them opportunity after opportunity, and for some folks, it just isn't going to click. So for them, like I was huge fans of theirs for the longest time. Like, hey, like they just need like more time. But at a certain point, though, it's just like, all right, we have given you probably every chance we're able to. Here, man, like thank you for your service, and we will see you at some point.
It just felt like in the case I'm like you, Ian. As much as I was delusional, like I just wanted to give Tanguy the benefit of the doubt as much as I could, and he just burned me time after time after time. He just burned me anytime that I tried to show him faith, and I just don't want that to happen with any Paratici transfers. And so far, we haven't had any inklings of players that Paratici has brought in to be like that, where it feels like the Hitchin players have had that sort of, like, oh, they don't really care about Spurs. They just kind of are here just for the ride, sort of thing. And it's good that we're not getting that vibe right now from some of our players. But Ian, I did just want to ask you this because I know we're kind of milking this, but I figured I'd give everybody, their Højbjerg soapbox moment if they want, because I don't know, like you're a younger fan, kind of like myself, Ian, where Højbjerg for me is just honestly, if I would say top 10 Spurs favorite players, like he just gets in there easily, no doubt, at least in my lifetime. Like I absolutely love Højbjerg. When we found out for a brief moment that he was in the same sentence as Harry Winks to be sold, it just, I don't know, it just makes you just want to throw the computer out the window. But thank God it was amended. Thank God it was fixed. I mean, thoughts on Højbjerg? I feel like, he's coming around on people.
Right. And also just with like folks who are just coming back from like injury, folks that we've brought in, the man's finally going to just be able to get a damn rest. I mean, honestly, like we do not need to be playing him every game, every week, in every cup. I mean, obviously, it's like just save him for the Champions League, save him for those huge fixtures in the league, and it's like it'll be very nice to not have to bring him in at like the 70th, 75th like minute for a game against, I don't know, Brentford or like Forest. It's like he shouldn't even have to dress, honestly. But it's like, but as soon as I saw that headline, I was just like, someone got this wrong, or someone in Spurs' front office is about to get, they are about to get sacked. It's like, and for a split second, I was just like, is this the price that we're going to have to pay to like bring in other folks? Because if so, man, I'm going to be pissed about this forever.
He would have gone straight away. He would have gone straight away from Don to Con, in my eyes. That's how much I love Højbjerg. I would have been, taking the first flight to London, after studying.
It's like that probably would have been the only move that would have had me really questioning. I'm like, okay,
Paratici all his good work with me. That's how biased I am. He would have undone all.
Like,
his good
walk
work,
me through what your thinking was on this, please, because I am very, very excited to hear how you think this is a good move. So
100%. Couldn't agree more. Jack, any more questions for Ian?
Maybe just a last, final one. Ian, I did say, Richarlison, maybe coming to Spurs or Chelsea. Just quickly, I think it makes more sense for him to come to Chelsea. Everyone has disagreed with me so far, so I would probably encourage you to not agree with me because no one has, so far. But do you think he's a better suit for Spurs or is he a better suit for Chelsea?
If he's looking for strictly playing time, he should go to Chelsea. If he's looking to be like the number one person, he should definitely go there, because either way, like Champions League doesn't factor into it. They're there. I think if he wants to if he actually wants to learn from one of the best head coaches in the world, plus also be a rotation player in one of the, I would say probably the best, like the best front three in Europe. I would say, like, you're 25, relax. You don't have to be the man right now anywhere. And we all just saw, like, just over the last, like, few years, he was the guy at Everton. And the amount of, it's like they have just run him completely just into the ground. So I would like for him to be at Spurs, but I also cannot fault him if he wants to be, like, the front person there.
I think that's a really level-headed answer there, Ian. Ian, really do appreciate you coming on, my man. Thank you for the patience as well. Big lineup today, and thank you for sticking on. I always love speaking to you. Hopefully, we can catch you maybe this upcoming Friday. If not, maybe I guess I'll just be conversing with you via Twitter and via the group chat until the next time I see you.
And check out that link I sent you as well.
Yes. Thank you.
The person behind that, I think they just got elected to the board on the Washington TC Spurs supporter group, so he's got like a lot of like awesome stuff on there. So definitely give that a look.
Also, enjoy the night. Enjoy the rest of the night of some Red Dead, and hopefully you keep us, turned up. You're playing, my man. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Sure.
Big
All
up,
right, man.
Big up,
All right,
man.
See you, brother.
Big yourself up. Everybody give him a lot of love in the comments. Big up, Ian. I love Ian coming on. I love listening to what he has
Dave,
to say.
some people play FIFA in the background. He was telling me he was playing some Red Dead in the background while, he was listening to us, which I will say, who knew? Maybe it calms him down, while he's, maybe while he's mid heist, on, a bank, in the Wild West, maybe just listening to Dave, rant about winks, calms him down or something. I don't know. Maybe he shoots even faster. Who knows? But Ian, I absolutely love having him on. Everybody show Ian the support he deserves. Somebody who I feel like, I don't know, do we even need to ask him questions, Dave? I wonder what he's coming in here with. Maybe he just wants to have a good discussion with us. We do have the Bobspur in the house. What's up, Bob?
Big up, Bob.
Good. I trust me. There's many people who watch your show play with the joystick and shoot really quick. So don't worry about it.
Even you had to pull up your pants before you came on.
I did,
Bob.
man. Yeah. And big up to KPV, who's playing on his who's live with his wank cam.
But look, Bob, big yourself up, my man. I mean, where do you want to take this discussion? What's on your mind?
Eriksen, first of all.
He rejected Man United.
Yeah, all good. People are losing their shit about him coming or not. I don't care what he's done in the past. I don't care what is how he played towards the end of his career. Obviously, we're human. It's going to leave a bit of a sour taste in our mouths. But man, it's all I care about is if he comes in, will he make this squad better?
What he offers now.
Yes, he will. He will. He'll become one of the best passers in the squad, probably alongside Harry Kane.
Yeah, that's true.
So he brings a different ability to the squad. So bringing an Eriksen back, regardless of his history, regardless if he wants to come, if he's going to give it his all, I don't give a shit what he did before. He's going to come in and improve the squad, to help us get to that next level, and I'm all for it. With regards to his salary, I know a lot of people say, no, he's not worth this, and Richarlison isn't worth this, and I'm going to move away from this and stop seeing things like a majority of us do. We're fans. We're not accountants. There's
it's not our money.
Who aren't leaving out, each their own. That's absolutely fine. Leanick out, or Leanick want. I'm a Leanick, change your way rather than get the fuck out of my club. Hey, do it consistently, and you can stay. But the people who don't want Levy or Enoch out or a change will sit there and argue, oh, would you rather have run us like a Chelsea or a Man City or say a Leeds in their plum? You can't make the argument of Levy being this fantastic businessman, a great negotiator, then say he's going to spend silly willy money. If we get a player in for £70 million, it's because we can afford to play to pay £70 million without it being any risk, because that's what Levy is. And then I don't care what we spend on a player. That's not me being I don't give a shit about the finances of the club. That's not my job. My job is supporting Tottenham. Well, job. All I want to do is support this football team and hopefully get.
The Spurs spent what they thought they needed to spend. If that's what they thought they needed to spend in order to get him through, then obviously, to be fair, and I have mentioned this a few times, Bob, and it probably even roasts myself, they do their homework more than we do, on these sort of things, and if they feel like he's worth 70 million, if they think Eriksen's worth 200K, they might have much better arguments on the table than we probably do at the end.
If we get
their homework.
An Eriksen in and he wants 250, whatever, we're not going to offer it, or the club's not going to offer it if they're not able to afford it.
Yeah.
Financial due diligence would have been done to buy any player in and put them on a wage structure that's affordable. So, I don't care. As long as the players who come in And so far, the players who have come in, barring a Forster, who's more of a sensible signing, but then again, he's an upgrade on Galini, as far as I'm concerned, have improved the squad. And that's all I want to see is the improvement.
You know what, Bob? I do think it's a bit mad. It's like we've all been screaming. Look, all of us, everybody Spurs fan, be screaming for the last years. Open your books, open the checkbook, spend the money. The minute we pump money into the club, now all of a sudden it's like, oh, I don't want to spend on him. They're asking for too much. I want to spend here. They're asking
get picky,
for too
Dave.
much.
That's what happens.
Like,
we get picky.
Do you want? You know what do you want? At the end of the day, it may be expensive to us, but at the end of the day, the charging club, that's the value they put on the player, and any big club goes and pays the value on the player that they want. Yes, there's negotiations. You usually go in 10, 15 million underpriced to try and achieve the deal, or maybe get a couple of bucks off. But at the end of the day, every big club pays what the going rate is for the player they want. And I'm sure we can all agree it doesn't matter about the price, but act like a big club in that regard.
Exactly.
Pay what the going rate is.
Can I just say what it quickly is? It's because we've been so starved for so long. So when you get so starved for so long, you're like, I'll just take anything on the shelf. I'll take any of the flavors. Give me anything. And now that we have 150 million in the bank, everybody's like, I don't really know if I like coconut. It's not really my favorite.
They say,
flavor,
don't they, Jack? The richer you are, the tighter you are. And we've
that's
all
what it's become, though. We went from like, we'll take anything, and now we're like, I don't know if I really like, Richarlison, And to be fair, I'm the most guilty of this. So I'm not even, I at the same stage, Bob, because you and I were together last summer, and we were just saying, like, look at all these players, like Levy, just take one of them, any one of them. Yeah. And now I'll be honest, on my channel, I'm like, I'm not sure if that's the best, deal available to us. It's quite funny how the tides have changed.
Bring them all in, man. Bring them all. Bring them, honestly, bring them all. If we're going to go to that next phase, we can't be, we're not beggars, but if we've got a world-class, we'll keep on airing it, world-class manager, world-class stadium, world-class players in Sonny, Kane, Romero, in my eyes, Kulusevski can become world-class. I believe Lloris is world-class. We've got the structure there. We've got the foundations there. Let's bring them in, man. If we can't hope and want ambition and then be umming and ahhing about trust Levy and Enoch to spend what they need to spend or can spend. I don't. There's still a part of me that doesn't think we're going to be spending this 150 million pounds that we've got available. But that's 22 years of Enoch consistency of doing fuck all when it's needed. But if we really want it, let's demand it, let's expect it, and let's not pussyfoot, man. Any class player that becomes available, be it an Eriksen, be it a Richarlison, be it Bastoni, go out and get the fucker, because that's the only way we're going to go to the next stage.
Bob, let me ask you on then the Inter Milan, Morata's the CEO of Inter Milan, and his basic interview earlier on today with RII Radio. And basically, he was saying that, look, Martinez will not be sold. That deal is dead. But they will have to sell one of their defenders in order to make up the money that they need, and that a defender is easier to replace than a striker. So should we now go all in and test Inter Milan resolve on Bastoni?
Yeah, 100%. Bastoni's going to make the right noises. I'm a Inter Milan guy through and through. I want to stay, but hey, it's his club who's in dire risk of getting into worse financial trouble. We had the best midfielder in Europe back in '91, but he knew that he had to get sold to Lazio in Paul Gascoigne to save us from going under. There would be no Tottenham Hotspur Football Club if we didn't sell Gaza for 7.25, which went down to 5 after the injury. And he did want to go. And I mentioned this on Tottenham Way earlier. Bastoni's, if it has to come down to it, and Inter Milan, his boyhood club, is saved by the sale of him, then so be it. They're professional footballers for a reason, man. They'll give their best. There's a reason why Bastoni is one of the best in the world, because he gives his best at a football club. He comes to Tottenham, he'll give his best. It doesn't mean his heart has to leave Inter Milan altogether. He'll still support Inter Milan, but he's a professional footballer. You're right, Dave. We need to test the water. I don't think we have. But
we haven't.
If we've got our big big club mentality. Let's go out, let's test the water. And if it's a no, fine. See you later. Let's move on to
But
the
we
next
were
one.
saying earlier to Philip, Bob, it was that Spurs, we've offered the bare minimum to Bastoni, but we haven't offered the offer they can't refuse. We haven't shoved the money in their mouth, which would force them to say yes. And that's the disappointing part, is that we don't know whether we did everything we could maybe to get Bastoni.
Just put the ball in the player's court. In the player's court. If he doesn't want to come to Tottenham, us Spurs fans can accept that. He's 2 years left on his contract. It's the last time they can demand a big fee for this guy. So at least go in and put in an offer they can't refuse, and then put the ball in the player's court. But Bob, another player I do want to touch on with you as well, because I'm asking everyone this today, and then I know Jack maybe wants to get onto Højbjerg as well. He's been asking everyone today. But with Skriniar, Bob, of course, we were heavily linked with him when Steve Hitchen was in charge of transfers. Of course, he went out to Milan Fashion Week, came back with a pair of Paradas for the missus, without Skriniar in them. But would you now go for Skriniar as well, considering he is available and PSG are lining up an offer for this guy as well? So if they won't negotiate with Bastoni, would you still take Skriniar maybe as competition for Eric Dyer?
Yeah. There's got to be the caliber of defenders we go for. It can't be wanting a Cahill in his prime and bringing in a Nelson. We can't do any of that shit. If we don't get a Bastoni, go to the next best thing, which is Skriniar, which is the like of a Skriniar, a Bastoni. Bastoni, Skriniar, a Botman. Go for that level. Even a De Vrij, I wouldn't put. I know it's very unlikely with that, but that's the caliber of defender we need to go for. Indika has come out the woodworks last couple of days, and everyone's doing a profile on that player. Rightly so. We're in for him, allegedly, or looking at him. But now, moving to one side, let's get the proven, tested, potential world-class defenders. That's it. And then the
number one
Indikas and
target.
stuff can follow.
Go for the number one target. It's what we've been screaming out for. The options are there. Put the money in, and see what we can do from here on out.
But Bob, you're right. Is because even the Indika thing that I did a video on, I was like, is he Spurs' third best choice? Like, it's such a even ridiculous thing to even be talking about. It's like, maybe he's the third best choice instead of the fourth best choice. What we're really talking about is, like, obviously there's 1 and 2 just staring at you right in front of you, Gvardiol and the Bastoni case. And when you think about it, if you have 2 clear options that are your top level choices, why aren't we pushing, everything in our power for those ones? Then we could worry about third, fourth, choice.
But I don't know about you guys, but I personally think we should be concentrating on the wing backs. It's quite clearly creative midfielder is going to be great in Eriksen, but he's not going to fit into the starting Conte. We need him for flexibility. Just because we don't play with an attacking midfielder doesn't mean we don't bring in an attacking midfielder. Eriksen gives us the option, but 9 times out of 10 on a Saturday, 3 p.m, because we will be playing Saturdays because we're not going to be playing Thursday. But like the other team. But our creativity will come from the wing-back position. And right now, Perisic, as good as he is, he's not going to give us 38 games throughout the season. Sessegnon, I'll say it, I've said it last season, is too fragile, in my opinion, for the Premier League. And I think a few good games towards the latter end of the season has papered over his shit performances for the previous three quarters, half of the season. Emerson, again, same statement with him. Last few games, it was good. Prior to that, it was shit. I'll still get it in the neck for giving him a 4 out of 10 against Newcastle, just because he got a goal. It was shit. He got twisted in and out, inside out by Maximum, and it wasn't for Romero, would have conceded loads more.
And then that's
Doherty.
Doherty.
Doherty, as good as he was towards the end, he's had a year and a half worth of shitness, but as good as he was, how well will he come back from that injury, man? It's a serious injury. Serious injury.
No, we don't have a world-class wingback that's been brought in. And I'll be honest, Bob, you could basically clip me probably throughout, the end of the season saying if we bring in, one of the better wingbacks in the market out there, that will solve a lot of our creativity issues, like you just said right there. And I'll be honest, maybe it's something we're going to address later, but at the moment, we're not looking at, top market sort of wing backs, and it does concern me. I think it's a good point you raised there. It does.
Do you know
what? Sorry, Dave. Go on.
I agree and I disagree. Let me tell you why. Look, I think the whole back line across from left to right can do with improving for sure.
Oh yeah.
But when it comes to the centre backs, we have a real problem. Next season, if we don't address the issues there, teams are just going to put balls into the box, left, right, and centre. For nearly 2 years now, even under Jose Mourinho, we have not been able to deal with free kicks into our box or corner kicks into our box, let alone crosses into our box. We've really struggled in that regard. You have Eric Dyer turning his back on shots, and even against the low block teams. Yes, we need more creativity from the wing-back positions, but you also can't have Dyer and Davies taking 8-9 touches on the ball and moving it very, very slowly. If they move that ball quicker, you get the ball to Emerson Session in a lot more space. Yes, we need to upgrade in them areas, but for me, I still think centre-backs is huge in terms of upgrading, because we will get absolutely destroyed in Europe if we do not address that, in my opinion. Plus, when Dyer was injured last season at times, Romero was out at times, the players we've had to step in were nowhere near the level, and it actually affected the whole team in terms of we could not pass out from the back. We were resulting to hitting long balls to Kane or long balls to Son and not even in their direction and expecting them to try and hold it up and do something with it. I just think, look, I think defense now, including right wing back, I think with Perisic, yeah, he might not play every game, but I think we'd be okay on the left-hand side. But I would like to see maybe someone else come in on the right-hand side. But I still think the defense in general, from wing-backs across the centre-backs, is the next area we really need to concentrate on and improve.
What the concern was from me, I agree with you. Hence the reason I was saying Bastoni. But what worries me is that we aren't being linked. Apart from Spence, who I think is unproven, I think we need... I mean, I've gone on record. Hakimi, he makes my nipples erect. That's how much I think of him. I think for me, he's the best right wing back. Test the water, man. At least test the water. If it costs, I think Jack said earlier, I don't know, for 70 million, where did we? I don't give a shit, man. It's not his money. It's not my money. If we can go out and we can get Hakimi for 70 million pounds, it's because we can afford to get him for 70 million pounds, and the money will be in, and they're not going to go out and say, right, we've got 72 million pounds in the pot, 70 million of it will go on Hakimi. Show ambition. That's what we want. Show ambition. Go out there and get a Hakimi, because trust me, Conte would love a Hakimi instead of a Spence. If the money isn't available, then that's a different issue. But you can't turn around and say, we've got 150 available, we're selling players, got naming rights on the horizon, potentially, Champions League money, guaranteed revenue incoming, Premier League money, finishing in the top four, all that combined. If you're telling me we have to pick and choose between a £50 million player here and a £50 million player there, which is going to take us to the next level, I smell bullshit.
Yeah. No, look, I agree with you. I definitely think we need to bring in some marquee signings now. And I hopefully them marquee signings, look, I'm happy with the signings we've made, Perisic, Basuma, Forrester. But I just hope them marquee signings now are in the defensive areas right across the back line, because I think myself, and I said this coming into the summer, I think that's where the biggest portion of money actually needs to be spent in terms of off the ball and on the ball. We could be so much better in both departments. But look, Bob, absolutely loved having this chat. And look, we'll have to get you on a debate show this week. Plenty coming up, my man. So we'll definitely be in contact to get you on and we can discuss it a hell of a lot further. But I mean, why don't you tell people what's coming up on your channel, my man?
Usual, Saturday night, conspiracy theories, guess the movie poster, and of course, Wankty Wank, which went really dark.
I nearly died on, by the way. I nearly died.
Yeah, you nearly died on. But just one last one on Højbjerg. I know that one speak about it. I just think I won't go into it. I think enough's been said. For me, players who go out, I will look at and think, do they make the squad weaker? Højbjerg going will make our squad weaker. We just like Sonny a season or so ago, we underestimate this man. Is he the best midfielder in the world? No. Has Basuma got more potential than a Højbjerg? Of course he has. But Højbjerg is a must stay in the squad. And for me, it's fucking insulting that he should be mentioned alongside Lo Celso and Ndombele or Winks as a potential midfield departure. Insulting. And which whoever within the Spurs fan base were quite happy to see the back of Højbjerg. Shame on you, man. Come on, get real. Get real.
Oh, your man
Couldn't say
after
better
mine,
myself,
Jack
Bob.
Sharp.
Couldn't say it better myself. I honestly, I don't even know if I need to speak after that. Well said, Bob.
No, I fully agree. I fully agree with what you're saying. Especially, I mean, you make a great point, basically saying, to put them in the same bracket as a Lo Celso and Ndombele.
Or the squad weaker, like just putting it in layman's terms. Like if you when you put it in that sort of sense, like is the squad weaker without Højbjerg? Yes. Like, will you have to replace Højbjerg? Yes. Why would you then do that? Like, why would you want to replace Højbjerg? Like, what's the point of that?
And finally, big up the NHS. We're currently on 1650. Wow. So we're trying to hit that magical 2K mark. A couple who want to remain anonymous for now, have turned around and said they'll double the 2K when we get there, if we get there. And big up. We always hear the negative from our football club. Big up to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, who, along with Paddy, who helped me out, contacted Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, told them about 24-hour NHS stream where we raised over £1,000, and we thought nothing of it. They came back, and the first team have signed a pennant. It's going to have the certificate of authenticity. Send it out to me, and they said, look, auction it off, raffle it off, do whatever you want. Rez is going to help me out with that side, and everything raised with that will go towards the fund as well. So potentially over 4K, if we get to that 2K mark, we'll make a few nurses happy. Oh yeah,
absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. But first of all, big up yourself, Bob, and then big up Paddy and Tottenham Hotspur Football Club as well for making it happen. Bob, we'll be in contact, and I'll see you again soon, my man.
Come on, Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Bob. Big up. Great call there from Bob. Guys, everybody get over. Check out Bob Spur TV. Does some morning streams as well, which he didn't say. He's been doing some morning streams.
You had to plug Wankety Wank, Dad. You had to plug, the
honestly, I nearly died on it. It was absolutely hilarious. There's some sick puppies around. That's what I will say on that. But it is absolutely hilarious. Dermot, with the super chat, big up, Dermot, my man. Really do appreciate the support. He says, for the first time in a while, I am excited about next season with the Champions League back. Big up, Bob Spur. Come on, you Spurs. Do you know what, Dermot? I'm super excited as well. Look, I don't really find it hard to get too excited going into every season because I'm super excited anyway. But this season, I genuinely am absolutely itching to go, my man. I mean, raring to go. I'll be taking preseason serious, and from first game right through to the last game of the season, extremely serious. And hopefully a full season under Conte. Let's see where we can take this. He done unbelievable with the bare minimum. Outside of Man City and Liverpool, most goals and points in the Premier League. Imagine what this guy can do with a full season. I'm raring to go. Big
Dermot, I mean, I told David this a few times during the last season. Sorry, Dave, I don't know if I can make it tonight. I'm going to be watching the Champions League, because I love the Champions League, Dermot. Like, I watch all the group games if I can. I catch every single highlight of every single game. I don't miss a thing. Finally, I can actually watch it with my own team in it for once, Dermot. So that's how excited I am. Big up, brother. Really do appreciate support.
Big up. Big up, Dermot, my man. Really do appreciate it. But look, we are down to the last guest of the evening. I don't know how many we've gone through tonight, but it's been absolutely incredible. And we've got a brilliant guest to see us out. And his name is Wes the King. Of course, made his debut on the challenge the other day. A lot of people really like what he had to say. And he's back with us this evening. Wes, how are you keeping, my man?
I'm good, guys. How are you guys? I was able to get on, so got off work.
Got off work, anything that was, maybe distracting you from work, Spurs wise. The news that you might have missed, while you were mid shift was that Eriksen has rejected Manchester United. So now it's down to Brentford or Tottenham Hotspur. I would say to you, Wes, two very different destinations, right? Two very different vibes, two very different roles. So which one would he pick? Because I feel like Man U and Tottenham, you could say maybe offer something a bit similar. I know not Champions League, of course, they don't offer that. But in the case of Brentford, like they offer him like, a big role, like a big kind of status, maybe more money, I'm not sure. And maybe fewer, kind of big games where he can just play in the Premier League. I don't know. Like, what do you see Eriksen taking?
Be honest with you, you see he done rejected Man U. It's pretty much, I feel like, for me, when I'm looking at it, he's probably leaning towards us more than Brentford. I know he said he really doesn't care nothing about Champions League. I don't know about that. Come on. Has he won that? I don't think Eriksen's won the Champions League, so I'm sure he's still eyeing. He's still eyeing that. Every player is. You can't tell me, I don't want to play in the Champions League because like he's not even nowhere near done with playing. I know he has the heart condition and all that, but he's nowhere really true done. Like he ain't finna retire next year like Bale.
Even to be fair, like his Danish national team made it to the semifinals of the Euros,
Right,
like he to be fair, maybe we're forgetting that, he's winding down, in terms of like the era where he's getting maybe a bit stir crazy. Like he does want to win things.
Yeah,
he does want that trophy cabinet filled up.
Yeah. Like he already won. He won the Italian league. He won, won the Scudetto, but he wants the Champions League and he knows his best opportunities with Spurs. And he knows for him, I'm sure he has in the back of his mind, he can kind of right his wrong or how he left the club the first time. And that's kind of what I feel, maybe he feels like this is a redemption arc. He can, this is almost like everything's pointing a line almost for him that, hey, his former coach he just won the league with is now coaching that team. They done got two great players in just now, with three great players in with the backup goalkeeper. He's needed. We will be using him. Ain't like he's just going to play one game out of 10. He's going to be playing. To me, I think with that 5 substitution, I don't think people realize how much a lot of players are going to be playing now. Even if it's just for 40 minutes, 50 minutes, which is still a good run in. A lot of players going to be playing. A lot of rotation. So
do you feel like it's easier to offer the amount of minutes that maybe an Eriksen would get more than like, I'm
just quickly, we have an update. We have an update on Christian Eriksen from Fabrizio Romano. Tottenham have not made an official offer to Christian Eriksen. He's not a priority for the club right now.
Whoa.
So that puts the Eriksen deal
he may have to end up that says a lot.
Okay, so I'm going to rephrase my question here, Wes. I'm going to rephrase. So here it is. I'm just
going to make sure I got that right. Give me a sec.
But let me just, regardless, the question is, the role of the creative midfielder, right? What are those sort of minutes? What type of role is that? How often does that person play? I agree with you. It's a lot more than people like to, admit. You do get a lot of games. I, kind of spoiled. I want, Sergey, I want the big Milinkovic-Savic, to come through the door. But is it maybe easier to offer Eriksen the role that we're offering than it is maybe like a Sergey, someone who's going to be like the 70 million, kind of player? Perhaps in Eriksen, it's easier to offer him the role.
Yeah, I think that's one of the factors also is that, with his situation, he can kind of settle for being pretty much coming off the bench and not starting. And that's the same thing I kind of say about getting Lautaro Martinez instead of Richarlison, even though I think we should go for Richarlison. Richarlison, he'll be more inclined to be okay with coming off the bench, while you look at Martinez, he's not going to be okay with that at all.
Yeah.
Like, he's just not. I'm sorry, fans, it'd be great. We got him in, yada, yada, yada. But to be honest with you, it's be very confusing to get Lautaro Martinez for this team, because that means we have to play with a front two with two left wing, with a left wing back and a right wing back. Where do you put Son? Is the question at that. Where do you put Kulusevski? Is Kulusevski going to play right wing back now?
People that deserve that starting spot.
Is Son going to play left wing back now? Like, where are you going to put two pretty key players for us? You're just going to put them on the bench now, and we're pretty much changing our whole roster if we go to a front two with the back three. It just doesn't make no sense to get a second striker like that. Now, I understand if they chose Kane and Son as up top, that's different. If we chose both of them to be the up top people and then we get the attacking midfielder. But then again, you still got to worry. Okay, where are we putting Kulusevski? Kulusevski to me could play CAM or CF. He could play either or. To me, I feel like he's actually more dangerous, more in the central position, than even on the right wing like he has been, which tells you something. But that's the only thing I think about. I'm sorry, I bled into the Lautaro Martinez thing.
No, but I was just gonna. Can I just take you there right now?
Similar. To me, the situation is very similar to playing time. Oh, is he okay with being kind of like utility player come off the bench? I feel like that's very similar between the Eriksen and whole Martinez thing.
It's a similar argument.
Yeah.
It's a similar situation. I think that's a really clever answer there, my man. But just so you know, again, in case you missed it, it was reported today from the Inter CEO, Morata. He did say that they are more willing to let go of a center back than they are to let go of Lautaro Martinez. So that sort of, again, puts, absolute, evidence on your side that Lautaro isn't coming to Spurs. So what does that make you think, either with the center back situation or like you maybe even also brought up Richarlison, either or. You could take this either direction. You could talk about center backs. You could talk about Richarlison, because it looks like Lautaro Martinez is not leaving Inter Milan, which is what I kind of expected, to be fair.
Yeah, that's what I expected too. That they've said, throughout even this past season, that's kind of like their key man. It's hard, and then he's right. It's hard to find big time strikers like that. It's hard. You can't just let him go just because, it's easier it is kind of a little bit easier to replace a defender than it is a striker. A striker, you don't know if they're going to score big time 30 goals every single, 20 goals some every season. You just don't know sometimes. Yeah. You got some players who may do it for 1 year, one hit wonder, then boom, they're off the face of the planet, So I don't really blame them for not wanting to lose Martinez. And I still don't think it makes sense for us to get Martinez. So that's why I think Richarlison just be a way better ideal player for us. And a lot of people were down saying, oh, he's 60 mil and all that. I'm like, we can't be complaining about the players we're getting in. The fact that we're talking about some of these players right now is insane. We should be thinking where we were just last summer with Nuno as our manager. We were going nowhere. We were going nowhere. Now we're talking about Lautaro Martinez or Richarlison, Perisic, playing with Son and Kane. That's we're in heaven right now. We're I think more fans should be a little bit more happy that we're even talking about some of these players coming to our club.
Even just as far back as January, Wes. Even just far back as January. Yeah. I mean, we had Amrabat lined up. We ended up getting Bentancur, and the next midfielder in the door was Basuma. So, you back up your point there. The players we were being linked with to the players we brought in. I mean, it's night and day.
Yes, night and day. And the whole defender thing, I say we didn't really try that. To me, now that I looked at the history, I looked at how we attacked just recently about Bastoni. I don't think we tried hard enough to try to get Bastoni. I think we were testing the water, seeing what they were going to do, seeing what Inter was going to do to replace Bastoni possibly. And now that I think now is the time to just go ahead and throw in the actual real bid where they have to think about, okay, we may need to take this, And if we don't try Bastoni, we try for Skriniar, because we've been in talks to, rumor mill for Skriniar for the last 2 seasons, trying to get Skriniar. Last summer was a big deal by Skriniar, and only thing that kept us away supposedly was that we didn't have Champions League football. So now we have that, so we can go for either or. To me, the whole thing on Dyer, and I may not be in the same agreement with everybody, but to me, I think Dyer should stay the starting middle center back. To me, I think he's done
a lot of people
job.
agree with you, Wes. We're actually kind of I think we're a bit of the crazy ones because we like to think that. Here's where I stand on it. I think Ben Davies had a better season than Eric Dyer. So in my eyes, I'd feel worse, or I'd feel bad for Ben Davies to see someone come in that's just going to replace him week in, week out, like a Bastoni, who's just going to start ahead of him for every game. I feel like that's harsh to Ben Davies because he had a much better season than Eric Dyer. Then again, and I don't want to steal your points here, the leadership ability that Eric Dyer has both on the field and the dressing room is a huge element for people. But, I don't know, that's where I come from. And Dave and I'll be honest, I think we're probably in the minority in the case of the fact that we think that Dyer is maybe the one that needs better competition than Ben Davies. I think Dave and I have kind of stuck our necks out, you know.
For me, just quickly, I mean, look, I actually don't feel bad if anybody comes in here and plays ahead of them. One good season, which I'll be honest, which is from start to finish over the course of them both being here in and around 8 years, they've had one good season from start to finish. I don't care if someone comes in and replaces them because it's not like they've given me 8 years. They give me 1 out of 8, you know. And look as well, even the losses, even the wins, we've had to go back, sit there through all the games, rewatch the games, exactly everything else. And Dyer does a lot more wrong than what people actually think. For instance, Jack mentions leadership, and look, I get it. You've seen from the documentaries, a leader, if that's what you expect from your leader, but a leader does not allow 2 players to mark each other in the same color jersey in the box, which me and Jack have seen a number of times over the course of a number of games, doing tactical breakdowns, how slow Dyer is in the ball, doing things at walking pace, and underhitting passes to Romero and Davies, putting them under pressure, turning his backs on shots. You know, Dyer and Davies, none of them can compete from set pieces into the air, into the box. Nothing like that. And for me, I get, like, look, keep them around, but they will benefit from competition, because if I'm going off what they've done over the last 8 years, well, they've given me 1 good season. What's the guarantee they're going to put in the same performances or reach the same levels they did this season? There is none. And with no backup or people hunting down their spot, it's certainly not going to make them want to improve or hit the same levels. And that's why we need competition. That's what big teams have, and that's what Tottenham need to do. I get it, they've had 1 good season, but let's not sit here and pretend they're world beaters, because they're not.
Yeah, I'm fine with them getting competition. I'm fine with that. I'm all in for that, really. Especially to replace backups like Sanchez and really I like Rodon, so I don't understand the hope, but maybe more Tanganga and Sanchez. And
Wait, because I know you come on panel shows with me. I'm just gonna have this out with you right away, Wes. I actually don't rate Joe Rodon. I don't.
You don't rate him? Dang.
Here's what I would say to you. I think in the case of Joe Rodon, I think he's not technically good enough to ever make it for a team like Spurs. Like on the ball, he's never going to be good enough to play for a club like Spurs. I know he has the passion. I can tell, Wes, you know, you like the fundamentals. You're kind of like Dave. You know, you like the core fundamentals. You like, you know, the things, you know, apart from that sort of stuff. But for me, on the ball, Joe Rodon, he's just never good enough to play for like a top 4 team ever.
The thing is, we don't even know, because he's never really had the real chance. So I think like another thing is, you know, a lot of coaches are not giving him a chance, which you know should tell us something that we don't have 3 managers that really haven't given him a chance. But I just think it's you know, until I actually see, like, if he gets the chances that Japhet Tanganga had, I think we really have a much better understanding where he is as a player and see if he's actually ready for this. But really, we haven't really seen, to be honest with you. He only played like 10 minutes pretty much in the season, almost, it feels like. But on the point about the defenders, you know, I feel like if we were to get a stronger left center back, it would help Dyer as the center back to me. I feel like Davies is actually, if you look at just as player wise, I think Dyer is just the better player than Davies when it comes to the defense and everything. And I feel like Davies is probably the weaker link out of the 3 if you're talking about Romero and you know, Dyer. I feel like if we fill out that left center back spot, I feel like that would help Dyer tremendously, and you'll probably see him play very consistently even next year. And I feel like he will. Oh no, he's going to be on the team next year. We know that for a fact, and most likely he will be starting. And one thing we noticed, every manager, last 3 managers that's come by here, have pretty much trusted him. He's been the starting center back in some form through 3 managers, and that should say something, you know. And I know Dyer, he was hard. You know, he had some horrible moments, a lot of brain dead moments. But you know, also he was playing center defensive mid at one point. So you know,
let me ask you this: have managers actually trusted him, or have they played him because there's been no competition for the spot?
I think
Let's get this straight. He was competing against Sanchez and Rodon and an over-the-age Alderweireld, who ended up leaving. I'm not being funny. I'm 5 stone overweight. I could get in that defense. I really could ahead of Rice, Rodon, and Sanchez, and I would do it, while eating a slice of cake, just to take the piss. I really would. But I disagree that yes, managers have picked them, but look who they picked them over. It's not exactly setting the standard.
You're right. You're right about that. Yeah. But I think that it's flip and flop. It's flip and flop, really. But one thing is, if at the end of the day, say we get a central center back, and then we get a left-sided center back, to me that'd be a great. Dyer and Davies are great backups for what we're going to need next season. That'd be way better than Sanchez, Tanganga, and Rodon. I'll say that. I think everybody agrees with that. So, but I just don't think we're going to do both. I don't think we're going to get a central center back and then a left-sided center back at the same time. I feel like if we were to meet demands of what we need just to strengthen the defense, it's mostly the left center back. And even though Davies had, he had an incredible season. For him to go from a player that we wanted out to now he's a player that we pretty much want to keep to be the rotation guy. At least on a top 4 team, which is very good. That's a big deal. And he's been playing incredible internationally as well with Wales. So. I don't know if y'all saw that game, but he played out of his mind that game.
Yeah, no, he did.
Yeah, so it tells you that his whole mindset now is probably completely different. The confidence level
looks like an entirely different person.
Yeah,
even Eric Dyer,
I'll
be honest, just to help your argument, looks like an entirely different person.
Just quickly, another part of the reason why I say we need competition is because I've heard 2 people say the exact same thing about Antonio Conte. Gary Neville and Expressions. Now, Expressions was saying he was talking to Ashley Young, and Gary Neville was also talking to somebody. And the way Conte's regime is and what he demands and the fitness levels, etc., you have to be at, eventually it starts to wear thin on players. Yep. So that's why it's always important why you have Antonio Conte to keep freshening it up at every opportunity. And that's why we need the backup to Dyer and Davies, because if we don't have it, what's to say they don't get fed up come January? Now, let's be honest. They've done it to Nuno. They've done it to Jose Mourinho. What's stopping them? And Pochettino.
Whoa.
What's stopping them from getting fed up and doing it underneath Antonio Conte?
Whoa.
And then we're back in the same situation I'm always preaching about. Why are these players responsible for getting rid of some of the best managers that we've ever brought in at this club that do have ambition, that do know how to win things? What's to stop that from happening? There's absolutely nothing stopped from that from happening. But what can't stop it is bringing in competition.
Yeah. I'm fine with coming in. I'm fine with adding. We can add in wherever. If we want to fill out those 2 positions, let's do it. And they're like out and out starters over Dyer and Davies. That's just what it is. They will have to fight their way to get back to that starting position. And they will really know what their mentality is and what kind of player level they're really at. If they can beat over the players that we brought in to try to start over them, I think that even opened up some people's eyes also. So yeah, I'm with it though. I'm not disagreeing that we shouldn't.
No, Wes, and I appreciate you sticking your ground because especially at the end of the show, Dave and I, we're probably probably putting all the burden on you at the end. Anything that maybe we've held back, we're giving to you now. You handled it well, my man.
I just thought of it there and then. I just thought of it. And look, don't get me wrong. I'm not having a go at you, Wes, whatsoever.
I know that.
It's just my way of expressing my points. I just maybe come across like that, but I'm not having a go at you.
That's why it's tough to go last.
About it the whole time.
Tough.
Yeah, you've been consistent about it the whole time, And I understand where you're coming from because Dyer has had moments where you're like, okay, why are you even playing professional football? We've had moments like that. We had the same moments with Davies. We had the same moments with a lot of players on this team. So I still got my ins and outs on Tanganga. I don't think Tanganga is really all that, but it was just that we got a lot of we got a lot of stuff we got to do with this club, but I think. The fact that those 2 players, they really showed some consistency this season, I think is more better than not. They could have had a 9th straight bad season, So, but I just that, I feel like Dyer should probably, I think Dyer is probably the better, I feel like the position we need more is that left center back position more than the central center back position. If we were just to go off of who we need now to strengthen our, defensive line ahead of time. Because I'd rather have Dyer straight in the center you saw when he got hurt, when we didn't have him, and we had to put in, I think, Sanchez or something. We had to put Romero in the middle, I think, a couple games.
Yeah,
and you saw our defense was very it was
a bit
not
all over the place.
that's the
moment.
Romero's
That
not
is the moment. A lot of Eric Dyer, what that moment
was like.
everybody
We were actually missing him. We were like, that's the first time I saw fans like, where's Dyer?
We're missing him because he's competing with Sanchez.
But he's competing with Sanchez.
In here, if we had Bremer in here,
you
would not be screaming for Eric Dyer to come back. You'd be screaming for Eric Dyer to get out of the team and bring back one of the others. And that's the difference. It's because he had Sanchez back up. Tanganga was in there. Let's be honest. The two guys can't pass a football 5 years. They haven't an ounce of technical ability in their feet whatsoever. So,
they don't.
I get why people were screaming to Dyer to come in, because he was the best of an average bunch, if I'm being honest. But look, Wes, we will continue this on a panel show very, very soon, my man. We will end off. We're approaching 4 hours now, and I want to end it at the 4 hour mark. So, I mean, Wes, this is your Twitter, my man, if people want to follow you.
Yep, you can follow me on Wes the King on Twitter. That's I need to start posting a little bit more, but I'll be working a lot. I'm trying to know stories, know what's going on, so I can tweet it out and give my opinions on them. I just don't be thinking at the moment. I'd be busy doing just life, but I'm trying.
I would say, if you want Wes's opinions, we had him on. I forget what day it was, but it was very recently. Everybody, if you want to see it was Friday. If you want to see him that night, everybody, there you are. That is the link to the channel. I mean, if you still want to keep talking Spurs, thinking about Spurs, rewatch this back. That's where you get all of Wes's thoughts, because he was on that panel show with us and he absolutely smashed it. So the Twitter, as well as him there, I think we're going to have him on plenty more panel shows. So it's, if you feel like you need your Wes fix right away, there it is. It's in the link right now. Now you can just get to it right away. But Wes, do really appreciate you coming on, my man.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Thank you for letting me have on late. I know it's been a long show, so thank you for letting me on.
No, believe me, my man. You're a good person to end on. You're a good person to end on the right note, end on the right vibe, and appreciate you for the patience as well, but also still bringing that energy right at the end. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Catch ya.
Big up, my man. Big up. Absolute pleasure talking to Wes. Everybody give him a lot of love in the comments. Really love this guy. He absolutely aced the panel show. We brought him on as well. Anyone that is new tuning in, feel free to check out the Tottenham headlines the evening headlines that we done before this. Also the one from Saturday as well. Gaining a lot of traction. A lot of people seem to like them, guys. So don't be afraid to check it out. But Jack, before we go, my man, what's coming up on Flat Cap Your Talk?
Evan Ndika, everybody, just check out that scout report right now. I would say as many people should watch that as possible, because with the Evan Ndika video right now, what you're basically getting is a really good comparison to the likes of Ben Davies. I compare him to all the center backs across Europe's top 5 leagues. I kind of watched his highlights ahead of time, and decided to, just kind of bring you just the facts, just my opinion. So do check out that video. It really also is just a great way to see what other Spurs fans are saying, because in the comments, I did ask them to say, would you rather have Evan Ndika or Pau Torres? I know we're talking about third center back options, but it is a good conversation to have, I think, because maybe it might end up being, Pau Torres or Evan Ndika. And so that video is just a great way for you to have that sort of conversation.
Yeah. So everybody do get over there, check it out. And if you haven't, get over there and smash the subscribe button on Flat Cap Your Talk, nearly at 1.5K. Be absolutely awesome to get it there. But look, guys, I think we're going to end it off here in terms of what's coming up on the chat tomorrow. All going well. We'll be doing another evening headlines, plus hopefully a Spurs chat as well, with a couple of panelists where we can go through a very varied number of topics. So all going well. That's what's to expect on the channel tomorrow. I want to say a massive thank you to the Irish Hotspur Army, everybody tuning in for both shows today. 450 people live for the evening headlines, and then at stages here, 200 and I think it was 80 at stages here as well, watching live. Absolutely incredible numbers. You are out in force. Absolutely love it, and hopefully we can keep your support and your optimism for this club going into the new season. A massive thank you to you all. A massive thank you to Jack and all the guests that have come on today. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Make sure you smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, feel free to, put in a super thanks if you appreciate what we've done. Yep. You don't have to. But also, if you want to engage with myself and Jack, get your comments in, and one of us will be in there to interact with you guys. As always, come on, you Spurs. In content we trust. See y'all back here tomorrow.
Gotcha.